Hello and welcome to the Blackdog number 172.
172.
There you go. Nothing sarky.
No, nothing sarky.
Okay, fair enough. This one we're going to call Spooky until someone says something funny, and we'll put that as a title instead. Anyway, this is
We'll call it Fight the Futile or anything like that.
No.
Fight the
Fight
Fatigue.
the future.
Yes, we can't call it the bees for everyone.
He's covered in bees.
No. Anyway, so this is our part of the 3-part Hypnodogs Bob's Lab Shonky Dog Black. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's the three podcast crossover. Why are you looking like that?
I'm just trying to figure out a name that we can call it rather
the
than
Shonky Hypnodog.
Yeah, the Shonky Hypnodog.
There you go. It's the Shonky Hypnodog cast for the X-Files, which was 20 this month, and we've all been feeling very old, and Jim has been going off and doing his sort of influences on the X-Files, and then over at the Shonky Lab, Pete and Elton have been doing the review of the pilot, and then covering an entire episode full of feedback, and then it's down to us to do the movie, so we drew the really shitty short straw. No, not giving anything away. But obviously, this is the third part of that celebration, and so we are joined tonight by Mr. Elton McManus of the Shonky Lab.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me on.
That's okay, no worries. Well, you set all this up, so you might as well be on, I guess. You kicked this off.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It's all your fault with watching this. And, of course, we've also got our tame feedbacker. And some say he's allergic to MASH, while others...
What the TV show was, a potato-based product.
Yes.
Because, every time he sees Alan Alda, he breaks out in the spots and shit.
Yeah, and others say that he breaks into houses and leaves those 2 random keys in the kitchen drawer that no one knows what they're used for. But all we know is he's called Jim Moon. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Anyway, so, yes, we're going to stick to our usual format, so anyone who's just listening for the X-Files bit, you've got a long old wait. So, we're going to have a bit of chat, bit of news, shitty superhero for you all, and are we going to get a Profannasaurus this week, Jim?
Oh, yes.
Ah, lovely.
I have one ready.
Lovely,
Cool.
lovely. And, yes, and then we're on to reviewing the first X-Files movie. So, let's get going. Let's start with asking our guests how their week's been, because mine might go on a bit. So, let's start with Elton. Elton, how's your week been?
Ooh, straight into the fire pit.
Yeah.
Not too bad. I met a hero. I've been playing a video game, and I learnt that a lady cancelled a contract today.
Really?
So, I met one of my heroes of all time, Mr. Tim Burgess in Cambridge.
Oh, yeah, I saw the photograph on Facebook.
Yeah, you did.
And he didn't look like he wanted to run away or anything. He actually looked quite comfortable.
He looked very happy. He was smiling. I got him to sign a 1997 concert ticket that I had, which was mine, of course. He actually asked if I actually went to that gig as well. Well, yes, I did. I didn't buy off eBay. But he was lovely. It was great to meet someone that I'd always wanted to meet, and he didn't turn out to be an arsehole. So that was cool.
Can I just ask something? You say you signed a 1997 concert ticket?
Yes.
Is this something you, carry around with you all the time, just in case you happen to meet Tim Burgess? Or
Just in case. No, he was tweeting that he was... Funny enough, it's not very rock and roll, but he was opening a coffee shop in HMV in Cambridge, and he was tweeting about it, and I thought, I'll try and work my day around it. So
Yeah.
I worked my day around it and got it, brought my ticket in.
I'm sorry, but it's here's one of the key figures of music, British music in the 90s, and he's now opening a coffee shop.
By Grabthar's Ham. What savings?
Wait, he's a massive David Lynch fan, and he's something to do with the David Lynch Foundation, and they have fair trade coffees and stuff like that. So that's what he's doing. He's doing a coffee shop called Tim Peaks.
Tim Peaks. Jesus Christ Almighty!
I can hear him going down in your estimation already.
Going down, I think he's just dropped through the floor. He's on his way. He's on his way on that little ship from the core.
Just like that.
Just like that. Yeah, there you go.
It's like hearing that, Brad Pitt is now working on the meat counter at fucking Morrison's in Welling High Street. It's just...
That'd be
What?
wicked.
Katy Perry.
It would, wouldn't it?
Katy Perry's opening a Ryman's in Croydon.
Pete Townsend was seen in Rumbelows.
Just before it went bankrupt.
Yeah, it was just research. Oh God! Right. Okay. So you met your hero.
My coffee hero.
Your coffee hero. It's like Guitar Hero, but it just a lot more steam.
Yeah, I also got my hands on GTA 5, which I've been playing for the last hour or so.
And?
Been driving around in a big red bus. That's pretty much about it.
Fuck the story. Let's drive a bus.
I was going to say 5 years. 5 years in the making. And what do? You
Jump
play
in a bus.
Microsoft Bus Simulator.
So, did you actually do a route? Were you in a route master? Did you hand out tickets? Wear a little hat.
Yeah.
For clarification, I have to say no, but I didn't pull up to any bus stops at all.
Did you just put out a service on the front and just drive around annoying everyone?
Did you get anybody getting on with like a £5? Can you change that? Or 20 quid?
No change.
You have to let me on. It's the law.
Okay. So first impressions, apart from it's a great bus simulator.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Nice little tweaks into it.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. You get to be a dog as well.
What?
You got to be a what? A dog?
You get to dive into the brain of a dog. I shit you not.
You sure you ain't playing Saints Row?
No, definitely this. You dive into a dog.
You dive into a dog.
Not that way. And then you have to pull that dog off another dog that's humping. I don't want to give away any spoilers, though.
So you not only dive into a dog, you have to pull a dog off.
Of diving
Yes.
into another dog. I've got to say, this is taking a very surreal turn very early on in
You
the...
don't see any of this in the trailers. Any of this at all.
Grand Theft Auto dog shagging simulator on a bus.
This animal husbandry part
Hold on,
of the game.
were you a dog driving the bus?
No. Although
You
that
weren't?
would be wicked.
That would be wicked.
You
all
almost
I'd
had me
want
there. I was
is-
going to buy it.
To drive the bus, you'd want a little set of goggles on your dog and to be able to put your head out the window.
Dishing out tickets.
As your tongue flaps and slaps against your cheek.
Where are we off to? Wolverhampton. Walthamstow.
I'm going to barking then.
Oh, God.
And yes, I learned that a lady at work was so pissed off she cancelled a contract that we have. Now, bearing in mind, this happens possibly every day to every single company.
I thought it was to your company. It's like,
Every day someone cancels a contract.
they're leaving by the busload.
Driven by a dog.
My dog.
We've got goggles on. Yeah.
But the thing is, she got so pissed off she cancelled the contract.
Yeah.
Later that day, I learnt that she survived Auschwitz. Now, how pissed off do you have to be to piss off a person who survived Auschwitz?
I don't know. Did they do showers? Shower construction company?
Well, they're supposed to be the most docile people in the world, and all of a sudden
What,
they're
Auschwitz
like,
survivors?
Fuck this.
Auschwitz survivors, docile. Yeah. That got them through the war. Some trying times there. Laid back. Yeah, these things take time.
So did you find out why she was pissed off? I think we should delve more into this, actually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I got a sneaky suspicion this is a Danny Graydon style rabbit hole we don't want to go down. But go on.
Was it you that pissed her off, Elton?
No, I think it's just the incompetence of the managers.
Oh, right, okay.
There's not much of a story behind that. I just found it amusing that, not that she'd been through Auschwitz, because that's not amusing at all.
No, not much comedy value there, I'm afraid.
No, but it was more the fact that you can piss these people off.
She wasn't the lady who had the stair lift and had a poster of Alf on her landing by any chance.
God, that's going back a bit.
Alfie's his own pet. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, moving on. Thank you for that, Elton.
You're welcome.
Some beautiful visual imagery to start the cast off. So, Jim, time for you to follow that up, mate.
Well, my week has been possibly lacklustre in comparison. And speaking of lacklustre, on Saturday night I took a chance and watched the remake of The Sweeney.
Oh.
And?
It's bollocks.
Film 2014 with you and host Jim Moon. It's bollocks. Good night.
Can we play the film, whatever it is, theme tune? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Anyway, go on, carry on, Jim.
In its way, it's not too bad. I mean, there's some good action scenes in it, but the problem is it's kind of... Because it's made by Nick Love, who has previously made films with Danny Dyer.
Oh, dear.
I mean, I imagine this film went down like the proverbial brick pigeon in America, because I'm British and I couldn't understand some of the subhuman, chav, cockney mumbling that was going on. It was Ray Winston going, fucking cunt, with a fucking Sweeney shithead.
Nice.
The subtitles on Love Film, I imagine. And they're all just mumbling and chunching each other.
I don't think Ray Winston was the right person to pick for the role of that character, to tell you the truth. I mean, we've already seen one modern day take on it. It's Philip Glenister, of course, who played, Hunt in
Gene Hunt in Life on Mars.
Life on Mars. I mean, that's as close as you're going to come and get to a modern day version of it.
Well, this plays it sort of straight, and it's kind of... I appreciated the gritty realism, and it was nice to see some sort of proper, like, cop film shootouts and car chases in London. But at the same time, it was kind of... The whole thing with the idea of this Sweeney was that their coppers were nearly as bad as the criminals, and they just took it too bloody far.
I bet they didn't film it like the original, though, because for most of the time they didn't actually have a licence for filming the car chases down streets, and they were kind of on the fly, sort of get it done. So probably a bit more organised.
So the Sweeney's right out then.
It's if you want a stupid film to sit and make rude remarks about, it's excellent.
Excellent.
But really, at the end of it, you just go, yeah. Can I see some real Sweeney now, please?
Yeah.
It's only on YouTube,
Well, you're Nick's son. We're the Sweeney. Go get your knickers on. Make us a cup of tea, monkfish. Oh, dear. So, yeah, okay. And anything else? Just
other than that, I've been mainly buggering about with my new tablet and discovering the wonderful world of various musical apps and synthesizers and making generally a god-awful racket.
Nice.
I have learnt that making music in this modern age is actually a piece of piss.
Nice.
Or rather, making shit music is a piece of piss.
Well, exactly. All you need now is some nubile young nymph to twerk on stage while everyone gets outraged, and you've got a number one hit, I think.
Quite probably.
So when's the first Hypnobobs label album coming out?
Well, that'll be Selected Ambient Works, which consists of for like 20 hours in volumes 1 to 20, coming out on iTunes very shortly. And the Aphex Twins out of a job.
I was going to say, so is the album actually called Hypno Off Your Bobs? Because I think you'd have to be really to kind of, man, this is deep.
Yeah. It's not the wibbles you're listening to; it's the gaps in the wibbles.
It's the wibbles you don't hear.
Yeah, exactly.
What are they saying to you?
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't hear them.
I don't know.
There you go.
Exactly. Off my knuckles
nice.
or mescaline. Love it. Okay, so we'll look forward to you doing an unplugged session on MTV pretty soon then.
Yes, but to give you a positive viewing recommendation, I discovered a marvellous YouTube channel by a chap called Ashens, and he reviews tat essentially on his sofa.
Nice.
And he does lots of kind of geeky, techie stuff like vintage joysticks, the Apple Newton.
Oh yeah,
Cassiopeia, but he also does lots of things like knockoff cheap action figures and
like
tests
Spider-Man
or fireworks.
Does
and people send him shit from all around the world, so he has kind of strange food delicacies.
Nice. I'll tell you
such as rotten eggs from China.
Oh god.
And sweets that taste of watermelon, but added with ghost chili.
Nice.
It's highly entertaining. He's a very, very funny man, and lots of just really interesting stuff. I've watched hours and hours of this man's video, and he's always kind of, right, I'm stopping now. Oh, he's doing rip-off Spider-Man figures. I have to see this. And particularly egregious things he sets light to with a blowtorch.
Oh, nice! Well, I've got a 14 quid Starbird Interceptor box which I bought off of eBay, which I think I could probably send him.
If you go to ashens.com, you can find his PO box and sending some shite.
I think I could send him that. Oh dear, cool. So, over to you, Mr. Barnard. How's your week been?
How's my week been? Well, this week Laura did her charity walk this weekend. Saturday, up at the crack of dawn, just to be at Putney Bridge. Hey. Putney Bridge by 7:30 in the morning.
Nice.
That was fun. That was.
Yeah.
And basically, she set off, and unfortunately, she didn't complete the course, but she did manage to walk 28.8 kilometres.
Bloody hell.
Before her legs finally gave out. And to tell the truth, Tracy Kelk, who walked along with her, she was just in a bad way as well. She had blisters the size of the Millennium Dome, apparently, by the end of this. So it was this pair of hobbling figures. It was a bit of a torture for them at one point as well, because they were getting to the halfway point, and they're like, the rest point is just here. It's just around this corner.
Yeah.
Let's go for it, and then maybe we'll have a rest and we'll walk on. Got around the corner, no rest point. Right. Okay. Because I mean, you obviously I didn't know this, but it's a real thing. The halfway point of 50k is 28.8 kilometres apparently. So they had a further 3 kilometres to literally crawl through broken paving stones and God knows what else, and puddles and mud and shit.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
There is a rest point called the ground that you can just sit on.
No, but this is a place for, it's like they've got medical staff and they've got food, drink and everything else there. Okay. So, it's where it should have been or where they thought it was going to be. Obviously it wasn't. It was, further up the road.
Yeah, okay.
But, so
you got a cab home then?
No, I didn't. I went off into London, while she was off sort of walking for charity. I'm sitting there eating gourmet hot dogs, thinking about her sort of wearing down those little legs even further.
Such a supportive husband.
I was, yeah. I'm like on the phone going, I say yes, love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, this hamburger is lovely.
Beautiful, yeah.
I'm in the most comfy seats.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry, the grease is running down my chin onto my T-shirt. Can you just wait there a minute? So,
and these slippers are so fluffy. I tell you.
Yeah, love, I've got to call you back. You're interrupting my game of Assassin's Creed 2.
I'm just getting a foot massage. Yeah. Hold on.
So yes, there was that. So thank you very much to anybody, any of the people who actually contributed.
Do I get half my money back then?
No, you bloody don't.
What? I donated 20 quid.
And?
Well, she only did half the course, so I'll get a tenner back.
There's no returns, I'm afraid. That's it.
Motherfucker.
What can I say?
Charity stuff's a rip-off.
What can I say? You should read the small print. Yeah, so the money goes to charity for me walking 50k, or when I feel injured enough to get
stop.
carted off by a fucking ambulance.
You know, if you don't make the distance, I'll get a required amount back. I'm sure of that.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can take it out of the hands
Yeah.
of the actual, Macmillan support people that she actually gave it to, and you can look them in the eye and go, thanks very much.
All right, then.
Have you
Where
got
are
a change of a tenner?
they? Where are
Have
they?
you got a change of a tenner?
Yeah. What's their number? I'm in a mood. I can do this.
But anyway, so there we go. She's done a bit for charity. I may actually go and do that next year myself.
You?
Yes, me.
All right.
So, expect the, give me some money now.
I'm going to pay you by the mile this time.
Are you?
Yeah, 50p by the mile.
50p by the mile. That'll be 25 quid you'll be paying me then by the end of that, mate.
No, I won't. I'll be doing you a tenner.
No, you won't.
I'll be doing you a tenner.
No.
And then we'll be hearing all about how your legs fell off or something like that. And you're walking around.
Yeah, that AA pit crew. Quick, he's got a burst leg.
Yeah.
Give him a new one. Exactly.
Put them on. Quick bolt.
So anyway, apart from that this week, watched a rather strange black comedy the other day called The Sightseers.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of
Very
it?
good. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
It's fucking mental. It's who's the worst? Who's the worst out of the two of them?
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's
Elton, for example.
Elton.
Talk to Elton.
Elton.
Have you seen The Sightseers, Elton?
No.
There you go. Talk to Elton.
So it's about a lady who's looking after her mum who kind of, wants to get out there and see the world a bit. And she gets together with this guy who says, he's on a sabbatical from work. Come with me. Let's go camping. Oh, I'm a writer as well. I'm doing stuff for my book. And it turns out that, and I must admit, I sat there and I saw where I could be in a few years looking at this bloke because of what he does to the bloke that drops. He's just just little things set him off. There's a guy who's got an ice cream.
Set him off in what way?
Shall we say, give you an example. There's one guy who's eating an ice cream on a bus and he's dropping the cornetto wrapper all over the floors and stuff like this. And basically the guy, the one that's with the woman, he turns to him and says, "Excuse me, mate, you've dropped your litter on the floor." And the bloke just gives him the finger and tells him basically to fuck off.
Yeah.
And so this kind of puts him in a mood all evening. Yeah. And I can see shades of me because I do that when somebody has upset me at one point. I'll be sitting there replaying a conversation that I should have had with them at the time.
Well, I know. I saw how you turned up with that cup of tea. You were looking face like thunder. I only asked you to make your tea.
And basically, he ends up running this bloke over with his caravan. You just see him, it's like broken bits of his body just under the wheels. So, but it gets steadily worse and darker as it goes along, and it's I think in the end of it you just realise that in a really sick sort of way, they're kind of matched there, the pair of them.
Yeah, it's a love story, isn't it?
It is a love story, although it starts going the other way a little bit later, but I won't say too much. So yeah, if you get a chance to see it, I think we watched it it was on Love Film. It was on there, so it's probably on Netflix as well. Any one of those sort of subscription movie services you can get hold of.
Nice.
But I do recommend it. It's some good performances all round. I do love the bit where it keeps cutting back to her mum, trying to get her attention, trying to bring her back to the house and stuff like this, especially with the phone call, her laying at the bottom of the stairs. That bit. So, yes, there you go.
It's like a video nasty directed by Mike Lee.
It is. It's a British video nasty, yeah.
It's so glum.
It's full of things where you think, that's appalling. Then you laugh, then you think, God, I'm appalling. I should be laughing at this.
I'm a horrible human being.
And you'll never see knitwear in the same light again. I'll issue that warning now.
No. And all I'll say is carapod.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, nice.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Oh well, that deals with that problem then.
Deals with that. Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend
Elton's completely in the dark.
No, I know, but Elton.
Hello.
If you can, watch The Sightseers. I'm sure you'll love it.
He'll forget it by the time we hang up.
Oh, I'm sure he'll identify.
No, I'll write it on my hand right now.
There you go.
Are you doing it?
Yep, look, hang on.
What do you
There's
mean,
my
look?
clicky pen.
Can we get video on the Skype feed?
Well, we can, but we'll lose quality. Sound
Oh,
quality.
will we? Oh, okay then. Okay, just one more thing. Also, I've finally taken the plunge and bought the first 3 seasons of Breaking Bad.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
So I should be attempting to sit and watch those to see what all the fuss is about.
Just in time for it to finish.
Well, that's fine, because then I can just buy those seasons straight off and I haven't got to wait sort of like, a year for the next season to come out. It's all ready to go.
That's cool. Nice.
So looking forward to that.
Yes, I've got it sitting there waiting to go as well.
Yes, the same box set as that one, actually.
Yeah, 19 quid, HMV.
Tons of special features on each disc as well.
Lovely.
Brilliant.
Cool.
So, Lee, what about your week?
My week's fucking shit. And that is the theme. That is the theme. So what we do is we start off the theme, which is shit. And the shit starts off with, I'm closing in on the end of this project. And for those of you who haven't been keeping up, the project is now to have a man punch the floor, and basically all the tiles in this corridor are going to explode Thor style, and dust is going everywhere and all this kind of stuff. And it's really cool. It's looking really good. And tomorrow we're going to the guys that are going to a production company called Realise, which do things like Formula One and all this kind of stuff, all the graphics and everything.
Yeah.
And they're looking for 2 people. And they've gone to Escape and said, look, we're looking for sort of your best and brightest, can we have 2 from your TD class, which is the technical director's class, which is what I'm doing right now. And so it's like, oh, right, okay, so get as much as you can done. They don't expect to see the finished product, but that's that. So the pressure's on. Anyway, last week, Carol's got something to do up in London, and I thought, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a day off the course itself, because they're not teaching me anything new now. I'm just kind of sitting there and just travelling to and from doing project work, so I'll do project work at home. Sitting there, taking the kids to school, come back, sat down. It's like kind of putting all my papers in the right place, getting all laid out. All of a sudden, the cat made this squeaky noise, right? And literally dragged her ass, still leaking shit, all around the house. And I was chasing after her, and she wouldn't stop shitting. So literally, it's like chased her into the living room, and the whole house ended up looking like, when you see those adverts for toffee crisp or something, you see them like lacing chocolate over the top of the biscuit, and it's kind of going backwards and forwards. Now imagine that.
That's put me off for Twix bars.
Now imagine that melted and then thrown into a fan. That's exactly what the whole ground floor looked like. There was shit on the floors. There was shit on the walls. The cat had run into the kitchen and wiped her ass all up. She's fine now. Nothing, perfectly fine now.
Well, purged it now, hasn't she?
Absolutely. Better out than in and all that. But the funniest bit is, do you know the cleanest spot in the house?
Cool.
The litter tray. She'd shat all around it. She shat on the rim, but she hadn't shit in it. She shit all the way up the hall, all the way in the kitchen, all the way through the living room, jumped on the table, shit all over that, jumped on the floor. I'm like, stop shitting. I couldn't get hold of the cat as well because she's running around. So that basically put me in a bad mood. The whole house stank. Fucking took 2 hours to clear up. Right, so that's that, right?
Well, you have an award-winning potential children's book there, The Cat and the Shat.
The cat shat. The cat shat on the mat. The cat shat in my hat.
Yeah, we could get Jen to do some wonderful pastoral illustrations.
Yeah, the cat shat on the stairs. I was unawares. Cat shat over there. Cat shat in my hair. Cat shat on the door. Cat shat on the floor.
I don't think I love that cat anymore.
That cat is a complete twat. Fuck that cat. Fuck that cat in the hat. The one that shat on the mat. Take that, you twat.
It writes itself.
Oh, so that was me Thursday. Right?
It's a good job it ain't a duck.
So that was that. On Sunday we watched The Avengers, which was really good. Good to watch that again. But then Monday comes along, right? And this is where the theme starts to come in, right? I went into the toilet at Escape Studios, and basically what it is, it's like a shared office block, and like on the third floor and the first floor is the men's, and on the second floor and the fourth floor is the women's. And walked in, and as I walked in, all I could hear was this. Hold on, you got to get this for the echo. Right, coming from one of the stalls. And then it all went quiet, and the smell was unbelievable.
Was it your cat again?
No, and the cat followed me to the studio. No, and it was completely quiet. And then all of a sudden, right, this is gonna make you laugh. Right? Suddenly, I heard, "Is there anybody out there?" I was like, "I'm just leaving, mate," and he goes, "Don't go." You all right? And he goes, I've had a bit of an accident. I just, have you got any toilet roll in the other cubicle? So I was like, okay. So I went into the other cubicle, and I'm pulling all this toilet roll out, because I'm thinking, well, I could just walk away. He doesn't know who I am. He can't see through the door. But I'm pulling all this toilet roll out, and I pass it under the door. And as I pass it under the door, I notice that I can't see the tiles. All I can see is his shoes, and the shoes are covered in shit. And there is shit slowly sleeping out from under the door. And I'm like, mate, you've got a problem. You need help. And
No shit, Sherlock.
Loads of shit. And I'm like, you actually need help. You're all right. And he's like, just, yes. And then so I went downstairs, went to the security. I said, there's a guy upstairs, third floor. He's got a bit of a problem. I think you need to go sort it out. So the security go upstairs. Anyway, and
from upstairs you hear, fucking hell.
And that was that. That was my lack of involvement. Anyway, a couple of hours pass, and I'm thinking, right, okay, so I'm going to go to the toilet, go back into that toilet. Smell is incredible. All the windows are open in the men's loo, and it's like, the smell is absolutely incredible. And what's happened...
It's not a hazmat team in there as well, is it?
Well, that's the funny thing. It's like, talk about tracks that tell a story. You look on the floor, and there's a pair of shoe tracks in shit that go along the tiles and out the front door. And the curiosity got the better of me.
Oh, no.
And I looked...
You followed them.
Why would you do this?
I didn't follow them. I went back into the cubicle, and I just pushed the door open, and you could see there was handprints and wipe marks where someone had got all the tissues and tried to wipe the walls down, and the whole thing looked like it had been painted burnt umber. Right onto the handle, right all around the bowl, everywhere.
What the fuck?
I have no idea, but they clearly dragged him out. So that exactly, I have no idea. And then when I walked out that night, I walked out and I went, oh, and I looked for the security guard I spoke to before, and I couldn't see him. And I just said, where's Tim? And he just they went, oh, he had to leave. He was feeling a bit unwell. And I'm like, okay. And I haven't seen him since. So I don't know what's happened there. Maybe it was a security guard.
Of course, it would have been embarrassing had you gone into the cubicle to have a look, and just as you were coming out of the cubicle, somebody walks into the toilet, and it's like, no, mate, it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It was not me.
But you just came out of there.
No,
yeah, I know, but it wasn't me, honest.
Yeah. But on a different kind of shit, right? A different kind of shit is going back to the project, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm doing now is I'm doing what's called fluid simulations, which is quite ironic given the story I've just told.
Great example there.
Yeah, but that basically covers things like fire, smoke, water...
Toilet walls,
everything. And it's really, really computationally heavy. Computers really have to labour at trying to make this stuff work. And the more you want it to look nice, the more resolution you have to give it, so the sharper everything becomes, but the more detail it needs, so the slower the computer becomes. Anyway, I've got this extra layer of dust that I want to go rolling down the corridor, Had to work it out. It's going to take, well, it was taking on my computer here at home, it was taking an hour and a half a frame. And I've got to do 300 frames. So I'm thinking, right, okay, is there some way of speeding this up? Speaking to one of the students, speaking to my tutor says, oh, you got to do this thing called caching. Now, save everyone being bored silly. Basically, what it means is record what the fluids are doing in really low res version, and then render a nice sharp pass over the top. But it means the computer has to do less work in the end. But to make this cache takes 3 hours. So you've got to be just sitting there for 3 hours waiting for it to happen. Okay, fair enough. Better than that's 3 frames. Then another student comes over to me and he says, yeah, and if you chop it up into 3 parts, then you can render each one of these 3 parts individually. And then you could have like one computer rendering one part, one computer rendering another part, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I spend 3 hours, then I'm going to take these things and render. Anyway, hit render, and these frames, which previously were taking an hour and a half a frame, 3 seconds a frame. And I'm thinking, fucking yes, my project is going to look the business. And then I look at a frame. Frame 1, completely black. Frame 5, completely black. Frame 45, completely black. Frame 85, completely black. Not a single frame has rendered anything other than completely black. I'm like, what the fuck? It's not rendering anything. I've just wasted 3.5 hours doing nothing, and now I've got nothing to show for it. And the guy, the student, well, firstly, the tutor fucks off because it's the end of the day, which was today. And the student comes over, scratches his ear and goes, yeah, that happened to me as well.
You see, you took advice from somebody who's in competition with you.
Then, right, on top of that, I've been advised to go to the guys across the hall who are doing this thing called rotoscoping, which is cutting people out from footage, right? And it's a very skilled job. It's kind of one of those ones where you have to have patience of a saint. You've got to literally draw around every element of a person and basically chop them out. And so I thought, well, this is going to take me ages, and I've got to put this guy into this footage. And so I went and asked one of their compositors. He comes in, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that. That was 2 weeks ago. He could do it in 2 weeks. I'm like, right, brilliant, fantastic. One less thing for me to worry about. Brought it in yesterday. I looked at it today. And the person who's doing the punching is a guy called Fabs, and he essentially is quite a bulky chap. By the time this expert, in quotes, compositor had a go at it, Fabio looked like he was the Slender Man. Basically, they'd rounded his face off, and he had no glasses, which he was wearing before. His beard had disappeared. He's lost his chin. All his shoulders had disappeared. And basically, I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And the guy's gone. He's gone. So now, I've now got someone who looks like you're looking at someone through a kaleidoscope, trying to punch the ground. It looks like shit. The two fucking things where I rely on someone else to do something and do it to the quality that I would expect of myself, and no one does it right. And they all fuck off and leave me to it. So I've got to do this again. And what's even worse is that compositor cunt thinks that he's going to use my part of my showreel on his showreel because he had some part to do with it. And it's like, fuck off, I've got to do all your work again. Anyway, on top of that, I am really fucked off because now I've got 3 days till the end of my course, and I've got to do at least fucking 6 days worth of work. I am so annoyed. And that fucking compositor, if he so much as shows his face again, I swear to God, I will actually do what I've done the special effect for. I will literally plant him in the ground and use his face to lift tiles off the floor.
Not just take him back to that toilet.
I could actually take him back to the toilet, stuff him right in it, shit on him, and shut the door and say, Dolly, get a photograph of that. Anyway, so that's my week.
Kept hitting him.
Oh, and on top of all of that, I watched the X-Files movie, just going ahead a little bit, I watched the X-Files movie on YouTube, and I thought, right. Then I watched it on the then I found out it was on iTunes, so I got it, and I watched that, because it's better quality. And then, just as I've paid for it on iTunes and downloaded it, it turned up on Channel 4.
I had the same kind of experience because I got it on Blinkbox, and it was beautiful quality. Really was. Came out well on television. Played it through the Xbox. But the day after I'd actually paid for it, that was when I think it was it Hunter put it up. Yeah, Hunter Langley put it up on the board. By the way, it's on Channel 4 tonight. Or was it Martin Thompson? I
think it might be Martin actually.
Yeah.
And then I put it up as a sort of reminder when it turned up on the telly while I was watching it on my iPad, and then suddenly noticing it was on the telly. It was like, duh. So that's my week. Should we do some news?
I think we better.
Lovely.
Here is the news. We've got some news. Fucking big news. Here comes the news.
Right, bullshit news now. So we start off with the wonderful picture of Justin Bieber and a photoshopped manuscript of Superman vs. Batman. And it's real, genuine, honest. Geezer? Anybody think that's genuine, honest, Geezer?
No.
Nope.
Fantastic. That's the end of the news. Thank you very much and good night. I mean, seriously. I mean, fuck's sake. I mean, does anyone think there is any chance whatsoever of someone like Justin Bieber turning up in Man of Steel 2?
Absolutely not.
Brilliant. No. Yeah.
No, if it was a Joel Schumacher production, then I think then we'd have some real danger of that happening. But no.
Okay.
He could play King Tut's son.
King Tut. Oh my god. Yeah, complete tut.
Yeah, I did actually make a comment on Facebook about the only time I'm accepting him as Robin is if they're filming the A Death in the Family. And the only bit they need to film is the bit with him in the Joker in the shed. And I think people took that as my, me advocating beating up small children. Or well, actually, he's not a small child anymore. He's 19 now. So he's an adult, so it's all right. Yay!
It's legal now. Cool. Okay. Well.
I was just trying to be funny, that's all. No. So I think there was one person who took it a bit seriously, but...
what, about Justin Bieber?
No, about,
what?
Should we be talking about beating kids up?
What, Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Justin Bieber. I just want to keep just emphasising Justin Bieber. No, it's not. It's not right to hit kids. It's right to hit Justin Bieber.
Yeah, he's not a kid.
He's a 700-year-old man.
He just looks very good.
He's been ingesting embryos, and that is what deformed his mind.
Yep, he sucks the blood of young virgins and stuff like that, and
exactly. Yeah, spits on them from on high as well.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on to more bullshit news now. Apparently, James Cameron has approached a well-known star to be the villain in Avatar 2.
Well, has he just approached him? Not about Avatar 2. He's just walked up to him, hasn't he?
And said hello.
Yeah.
No, apparently, playing an evil general sent from Earth to reclaim Pandora is none other than Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, do you know what? That's a genius. That's a stroke of genius, because that is nothing like the evil general that was sent to, claim Pandora that was in the first one.
No, exactly. This time we just... Yeah, because... Actually, that's going to be an ironic, isn't it? That fucking Avatar 2 is a remake of Avatar 1, which in itself is a remake of Dances with Wolves.
And this time, the big mech that the Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be in, it won't just have a big knife, it will have a big fork as well.
And a spoon.
And a little bib.
And a
bib
bow
around
tie.
his neck. Yeah, a bow.
Little bow tie.
Well, no, that's it. I've got intelligence on this because using the same
More than
exacting
the
journalistic standards as this rumour, i.e. some bloke I made up told me, I can reveal that Schwarzenegger will be playing Gargamel.
and the opening theme by James Horner will be da 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 da. Anyway, sorry.
Celine Dion is in talks with Barbara Abraham.
Yeah. Where are you all coming from? Sorry, that wasn't my Celine Dion. That was just me sitting on my own testicles. I'm getting that old. Anyway, one piece of non-news. We get just loads of non-news now. Gwyneth Paltrow's not in the Avengers 2. Apparently she's not been approached, so she's sitting this one out.
So James Cameron hasn't walked up to her then?
No, I think no one's walked up to her. I think she's just been sitting in the house, waiting for calls, staring longingly at the phone.
Please put me in Avengers 2.
I looked so good just flying through the air as the building exploded.
Yeah.
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 The phone just sits there. I don't know. Oh God. What's the other piece of bullshit news? We've had him. We've mentioned this before, but Jonathan Rhys-Meyer has often been connected with
Lots of things.
Star Wars Episode 7, and basically, apparently, he's the only thing he was approached by a news source, Entertainment Weekly, and they basically flat out asked him. And all he said is he has a very good working relationship with J.J. Abrams after working with him on Mission Impossible 3. And in typical shitty style, Entertainment Weekly has turned around and gone, hey, you know what that means? He must definitely be working on Star Wars. Anyone? Bueller? Silence from the crowds.
Is JJ still directing the Star Wars?
Yes, he's not. He came out and explicitly said he wouldn't be directing Star Trek. But that was about it. Star Trek 3. But personally, at this point in time, I don't see that as much of a loss.
No.
Unless anyone else does, in which case you can fuck off. But that's my own opinion. Actually, no. Fuck off. So, that's it really for the news. I'm just checking any other...
Oh, there is actual Star Wars news.
Really?
Yes.
Like what?
Disney's chief financial officer, a man named Jay Rasulo,
right?
Who sounds like a Star Wars character to me.
Yes. He was the 17th.
He was in a meeting and he said that these films they do, the standalone films they're doing in between episodes 11 to 70, 70, 72, yes, and all the rest, will be origin story films.
Oh, no. Oh, what, you mean like... So the three that they were talking about, the Yoda one, the Han Solo one, and the Boba Fett one, are origin stories. But we already know the origin of Boba Fett, and who wants to know... Oh, God. Fucking Han Solo's going to be Mowgli, isn't he? Fucking living on Kashyyyk singing "Oop Boopy Doo, I want to be like you." Oh man!
And watching hairdryer internet porn.
No, that's mine. That's me. That's me. Oh yeah, airblade.com XXX.
But the only good thing about Yoda now is that we don't know where he is and what species he is, and having a origins would just ruin that for everyone.
Yeah. And we know he went on to a lucrative career with Vodafone, so that's all good.
Well, presumably that one would be Frank Oz in front of the mirror doing funny voices and some people sculpting some rubber.
It's just a shed. Just a shed with a couple of pieces of wood and some sticks. Yoda, origins. Pass me the glue, Jiff. Oh, no one will ever surpass this. He's great. You look at him. He looks like a wizened old man.
He is a wizened old man.
No, enough about Frank Oz, though. I mean, Frank Oz is bloody looking like Yoda these days. Have you seen him? He looks like he looks like you remember those old sun-dried tomatoes, the sun-dried raisins that used to California raisins that used to dance and sing. Imagine those, but with a moustache.
Like the ladies
through
off
the
the Wonga
grapevine, I
advert.
did.
Sorry, anyway.
Got one other thing here.
You've got one other thing. Go
Yeah,
on,
I've
then.
just seen this here. Apparently, the Dark Tower adaptation is not dead.
Oh, that's a shame.
Ron Howard is still interested in doing it, and he's talking about how, you know, it's a little bit of a difficult adaptation, which it is.
Yeah, because Stephen King won't leave Maine to come and film himself standing in his own book.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking
Although
waste
apparently
of my
he's,
time that was.
I hear he's redoing that so that it takes
he?
him right out of that book.
Does it?
Yeah,
So you can sell more books and not actually have to do much work.
Exactly.
Just to find and replace in Word and then re-release it.
they should have stopped it at number 3.
They should have
but,
stopped it at number 1.
No, number 3. Number 3. Up till that point. then
Have
it
you read
started to
Dark
get a
Tower,
bit-
anyone? Well, I know you haven't, Elton.
I haven't.
I'll take a guess on that. Go on.
I like the world of the Dark Tower. It's just a pity that they just can't do more in that, and they have to do all this fucking including Stephen King in his own story type bollocks. Midworld's a fantastic place, and really they should just stick with that, I think. But you know, what the hell? I think Stephen King has actually turned around and said, "Fuck you, everybody." Anyway, if you don't like what I've written, go stick it in
That was
your
pretty
ear.
much the last book.
No, he's basically said about the series in general.
Oh.
It's just like, oh, go fuck off.
I've got your money, I don't care.
He's done a Bob Hawkeye.
Yeah. Fuck you. Star
Exactly.
Trek's my thing. Fuck off. One last thing, and then we'll move on. Basically, it turned out on the schedules for release dates on Paramount's website, briefly, set for July 1st, 2015, is a Terminator movie.
Really?
And some people have looked at the way it's slated and also the fact that it's got some code word beside it and said that it may be a reboot. A reboot of Terminator.
Oh, God.
I think that's kind of the noise I made. Anybody got anything? Who would you
I've got additional information on that.
Have you? Go on.
Yeah, it's allegedly going to be part of a trilogy.
Oh, nice.
Or what you mean, very much like the last one that came out that was supposed to be part of a trilogy, but wasn't.
A
part
trilogy
of
of
a
one.
Trilogy of one.
It's a very fluid definition of trilogy, but, you know, it's there.
Kind of taking the sort of Douglas Adams route of the trilogy in 5 parts type thing, you know. This is a trilogy in 1 part.
But they've moved it to July the 1st, 2015, which means it's going up against Independence Day 2.
And Star Wars and The Hobbit and
Batman versus Superman
versus
and
Superman.
everything else.
wow. It's going to be a...
Apparently,
busy old
though, Roland Emmerich has come out and said he's only going to make one Independence Day sequel.
That's handy.
One too many.
Project's going in the right direction, but he said the current plan is to end this film on a cliffhanger, and then if it goes down well, make parts 2 and 3.
Hold on. If he's only going to make one, but if it goes down well, he's going to make parts 2 and 3.
Yes. And I quote, "We'll only do the first part," he gibbers, "because we want to have the audience decide if they want to see the second. Otherwise, it feels arrogant."
What? Arrogant to do?
I think the real truth of it, he said, "Can I make 3 films?" And they said, "Fuck off."
Pretty much the size of it, I think. Oh, okay. Well,
isn't the fact that, you know, people don't actually go and pay to see the movie, I mean, isn't that the same sort of thing anyway? So it's, you know, nothing's changed.
oh, God, okay.
Ronan and then Brick, expert on the fucking obvious. There we
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, that's the end of the news. Pretty underwhelming pile of arse that was.
go. Yeah.
75% bullshit. Now, you know what I've got to do? I've got to ask if any of you have seen this piece of paper. Nice. I get to inflict it on all 4 of you now. 3 of you.
All 4 of us?
Yeah, there's the person in my head. Play the jingle.
Where have all the heroes gone? We're left with all the nods. I just want one Superman and not this bunch of slobs. Not a single one of them could take on Mr. Freeze. They're so lightweight they could get blown away in a stiff breeze. The shitty heroes, the Spanish costumes are just a little bit too tight. They're not very cool and they're not very fast, and they're most likely die in a fight. It's shitty heroes. Just one look at these dudes and you know they ain't right. Marvel DC doesn't mean much to me because they are a total shite.
Hulk smash! Puny lunch singer.
Okay, so shitty superheroes for this week. This one is a Marvel Comics superhero, and he's actually a superhero. He's a sort of second tier sort of sidekick, to be honest, because we have to clarify now if they're sidekicks.
Oh,
but see if you can guess what his superpower is from his normal name, his nom de plume. He worked with a shitty superhero previously mentioned, NFL Super Pro.
oh, blimey!
whose superpowers were that he was an American footballer.
Again, not a power, a vocation. Okay.
Well, yes, but you see, he had a whole heap of people who would help him out, and he had in his inspirational sort of like superheroics. And this guy's called Tubby Walsh. Was a desk clerk who attended a program at Camp Runamuck. There you go. To awaken the inner superhero. The camp was actually a front, though, unfortunately, for a mad scientist who just invented a device to bestow superpowers upon anyone who entered the camp. Tubby, therefore, inadvertently became the Girth. And along with his friends and the NFL Super Pro, he defeated the mad scientist. His powers, the Girth, has control of his extremely large stomach, which is apparently imbued with superhuman strength.
So these superpowers were given to him wrapped around a McDonald's gift card. Is that what you're saying?
I think, yeah, there's a certain level of that, I think. There's definitely, yeah. So there you go. So ladies and gentlemen and members of the assembled co-hosts, I give to you the Girth, who essentially, as far as I can tell from this very tiny picture... Oh, no! Elton, oh, sorry. I thought someone had gone off. Jim's just handing the picture around. There you go. I wonder what was going on. Yeah, there's a man just beating the shit out of someone with his stomach. Darren, would you like to have a look at that? And if anybody else wants to chime in, feel free.
When you mentioned Girth, on the last two... Hang on. Going on the last 2 weeks, you've had a lady spitting blood out of her vagina.
Yes, that is true.
Firing blood out of her vagina.
Heavy flow. Yes, I remember.
And a poo woman as well, wasn't it?
A poo man made from the evil poo of the six most evil men on the earth. Yeah.
When you said Girth, I thought you were going for a trio.
No. You see, we've had that before. We've had the penis superhero before. Long Dong, I think his name was.
Well,
Yes.
I think we had about 3
From
cop
the Freshmen.
superheroes in a row.
From the Freshmen. Long Dong from the Freshmen, and then there was the guy with the
Was it Big Ivan or something?
with the Jack Hammer. The Jack Hammer codpiece. No, it was actually codpiece. Yeah. So there you go. But well done. I'm glad you're invested, Elton. You can come again. Darren usually glazes over at this point in the cast. Usually, just get him out of it. But yes. So there you go. The girth. Anyone got anything to add? Anything? Any insights?
I like the way he thrusts his girth around. It's a fantastic move. Feet off the floor and everything.
Yeah, he is. He's literally. If his gut wasn't there, he'd be balls deep, wouldn't he? Really?
I've got girth in my face.
Does he shout girth as he does it as well?
I don't know. I'd like to think he does.
Girth!
Take some of fat.
Oh.
Thank you. Here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm rather disappointed he isn't in costume.
Well,
that's maybe a relief.
Yeah. I was going to say, what would you do? I mean, what kind of costume would you have to accentuate the stomach, which is the only bit with superpowers?
Well, I imagine you just go for fast food advertising like a Grand Prix driver does. Just, McDonald's, Twinkies.
Yeah, Burger King round the underside.
I'd have a massive fucking target on it.
This way up. Anyway, so there you go. So if anyone has any shitty superheroes to share with us, and bear in mind, obviously, we have had quite a few now, send them in to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com, and I'll inflict them upon Darren and anyone else who just happens to be along for the ride. Right, so, Jim, it's time to step up to the plate, my friend. Have you got a Profannasaurus for us today?
Indeed, I have.
Ooh. There you go. We got. Elton, is that Triffid?
Whale song or something?
Not anymore.
Go on in. Over to you, Jim, for your Profannasaurus.
The X-Files. Noun. Spelt, as you'd expect it, a cult SF TV show. Spelt with an extra E, it refers to the cache of visual, intimate moments of you and your former lover that has now worryingly appeared on a revenge porn site.
Thank you very much. The X-Files. Yay. Thank you very much, Jim. At this point, we'd usually give you a plug that would last about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But today we won't, because you can plug away at the end of the evening. Right. Well, I suppose there's no delaying now. We must move in to our X-Files special bit. And talk about X-Files the movie. Hold on, is this a rose-tinted specs or a shit cover goggles? Just so I can choose which jingle.
I would say it's a rose-tinted specs, I suppose.
I'd go with rose-tinted specs as well.
Okay. So be it, Jedi.
Rose-tinted specs. Rose-tinted specs. Rose-tinted specs.
You're gonna watch a film you like when you were young, sticking in the player, then send feedback when it's done. Has it stood the test of time, a classic evermore? Or has the movie lost its shine, a cinematic bore? Is it still hot? Send me what you got. We'll read out your thoughts on this week's rose tinted specs. We'll read out your thoughts on this week's rose tinted specs. Rose tinted specs. Rose tinted specs. Rose tinted specs. Rose tinted specs.
Oh my God! Call an ambulance. Right, okay, so the X-Files movie, also known as X-Files Fight the Future, for you European types. Right, directed by Rob Bowman, who also directed several of the episodes. Screenplay by Chris Carter. Story by Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz. who also wrote a number of the episodes, starring David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson,
who also appeared in a few of the episodes.
No, just Gillian Anderson. Martin Landau, who should have played Space 1999.
Yeah.
Mitch Pileggi, who went on to a fantastic career of Behind the Magician's Curtain.
Hold on. He don't knock him. He appeared in Knight Rider 2000
as well. Yes,
as bad guy.
Yes, John Neville, who was also Baron Munchausen. I'm setting this all up so that when we start talking about him as Baron Munchausen and Knight Rider 2000, everyone knows who we're talking about. Music by Mark Snow again. And
who's never been in any X-Files episodes.
No, and hasn't been anywhere near Snow or anything. And it was released June 19th, 1998. It had a budget of $66 million and made back $189 million.
Wow.
Which isn't bad going, I guess. After 5 successful seasons, Chris Carter wanted to tell a story of the series on a wider scale, which ultimately meant creating a feature film. He later explained that the main problem was to create a story which the viewer would not need to be familiar, but would also be setting up various arcs. Carter and Spotnitz wrote the major parts of the script while in Hawaii over Christmas 1996. Isn't that nice?
Lovely.
They used the same method they had used when writing episodes and sketching out scenes for the series on 3x5 index cards, which obviously half of them got lost and the rest of them got rewritten by the fucking cleaning lady of seasons 5 through to 9 were in the indicator. But anyway,
I believe one got a bee stuck on it.
Someone dropped it while changing their sump of their car. But anyway, by the time the Christmas break had ended, the whole narrative of the film had been written, and upon his return from Hawaii, Carter looked for some spare time to write the script. He returned to Hawaii 10 days later and wrote about half of the 124-page screenplay in that time. Carter gave 90 pages of the screenplay to Fox, who received it well, while not officially greenlighting the film. He also got the budget and began to make plans as to when and where it could be filmed. Carter enlisted Daniel Sackheim to produce the film, as Sackheim previously worked on the pilot episode of The X-Files and directed several of the first 2 seasons of episodes. X-Files marked his first contribution as a producer for the feature film, and Carter's choice for director Rob Bowman, who had been the series' executive producer, had also been a director before the production base was moved from Vancouver to Los Angeles. During the production, the filmmakers went to great lengths to preserve secrecy, including printing the script on red paper to prevent photocopying and leaking disinformation to the media, giving the film a code name Project Blackwood. The code was cracked by fans who basically obviously looked out their window and saw Mulder and Scully filming with a film crew. Though according to Spotnitz, the word Blackwood had no particular significance. At the beginning of the pre-production phase, Carter and Bowman were busy with the television series, leaving Sackheim to work alone. Sackheim hired executive producer Later Ryan, interesting name, who had previously collaborated with Steven Spielberg on Jurassic Park. Once hired, Ryan was allowed to read the script in front of the 1013 production staff members, but not allowed to take it away. So the producers are sitting there working on a film and only allowed to sit there with, for fuck's sake. So up his own arse sometimes. Anyway, Chris Nowak was hired as a production designer. Loads of people. Anyway, according to Ryan, they secured all the key personnel in 6 weeks before principal filming began. Cartner and Spotnitz wanted to make the film bigger than the series, so they decided to start and end the film on extreme places, expanding aspects of the story arc which the show had not. And also they went for more known actors this time, such as Martin Landau and 20% batteries running out on my phone. Just going to move on. Let's move on. This goes on for hours. Clearly, an X-Files fan has been at this with a fine-tooth comb. The film was mixed reception. It's got 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, saying as a pure movie, The X-Files more or less works. Thanks.
That's all right, no problem.
Though
I thought it was about time.
As a story, it needs a sequel or a prequel. Cliff Notes sequel, prequel, and cliff notes. Joyce Millman as Salome was more equivocal, writing, "You really can't treat The X-Files as a movie because it isn't one. It's just a 2-hour episode of the show," and said it was far from satisfying. San Francisco Chronicle reviewer Bob Graham was positive towards the film, saying Duchovny and Gillian Anderson were enormously sympathetic heroes, while Michael O'Sullivan for the Washington Post said the film was scary, stylish, funny, and at times just plain gross. That's it. There were plans to make a sequel, which then turned up in 2008, and we won't talk about that because it's a pile of shit. Right, so let's talk about the film then. Who wants to go first? Who do you want to go first, Dal? You can pick who goes first.
Well, let's see. Elton went first last time, so I think we'll go for Jim.
Okay, over to you, Jim. Normally you're last, aren't you, on this cast?
We can leave him till last if you want.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Send him up front.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. He's a good player. Good in the midfield.
Put him on
Send
the
him up front.
battlefield. There you go.
Send him up
Got a
front.
good work rate.
Good work, right?
Live
Whatever that
dangerously.
Yeah, exactly. You've earned that place, Jim. You've worked for that place.
Right then, cracks knuckles.
Oh dear. Here we go.
Now, I have to say, this is the first time I watched this film, because by the time it actually came out in the cinemas, I'd long since tuned out of the X-Files, having got completely lost in the story arc, and I sort of drifted out around the start of season 4. Mm-hmm. And if I remember rightly, it was kind of, I'm not sure, but I think there was a thing of kind of, if you've been watching on Sky, you'd be up to date for the UK release of the movie. Yeah. But if you were a peasant and watching on BBC Two as I was, you were still behind. So I thought, well, that's that fuck then, isn't it? So I didn't bother with it. And, I didn't hear great things about it. So I happily avoided it.
Until
it's one of those things. I mean, in fairness to the X-Files, I got lost off with it, and it was one of those, I always meant to go back and thought, well, when it's finished, I will watch the lot. And then it went on for 9 seasons, and it became a big job I've put off to this very day.
So you're not rewatching X-Files with Elton on his new cast?
Well, I'm tempted to, because I would like to sit and watch the lot. It's a long-standing promise to myself.
I suspect that's a thing, a bit like ice skating uphill. You can do it, but do you want to? But anyway, go on. Carry on. Sorry, sir.
And so it was kind of, watching this when it started, it was actually just, it's really nice to see them back in action. And, it's a bit spooky, and it's, it is, it's like the TV series, but kind of, that's what I expected. And that's kind of, what I want from a TV movie adapted from a TV show. I don't want them to change the costumes and put them in grey pyjamas. Star Trek the Motion Picture. And however, I just found this was, considering it's the equivalent of 3 episodes long, it isn't. There isn't 3 episodes worth of storyline here. Yeah. If the film had been like 40 minutes shorter, I'd have been a lot happier. As it was, I was watching it going, well, I can see some of these revelations are a big wow if you've been watching the series right up until the point, and this is the lead-in. But for me, who's coming into this as a casual viewer, it's kind of, yes, I can follow it, but it isn't packing the punch it's obviously meant to.
Yeah.
And on sort of reflection, it was kind of, it's not a terrible movie. I'm sure it plays fairly well if you're watching it in between the seasons. Though, to be honest, where did the money go? Because there wasn't really a lot in the movie to justify that budget. There was the bee attack and the big saucer that Scully misses at the end.
Spectacularly misses.
Yeah. And other than that, it's kind of, well, where did the money go? I wanted something, big broad canvas. Yeah, take them properly, globe-trotting, go all around the world in like a Bond-style investigation.
Yeah.
But no, it's the same old backstreets, really.
Same old backstreets, same Vancouver woods.
With Eddie Commander
and
Koenig.
some added fields.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they weren't expensive.
And a bit of snow, because it was snowing in LA at the time. Anyway.
Yeah,
But other than that, it all just
cost
felt a bit
bomb.
ho-hum. And my problem was just kind of, well, this is just... It's a very standard alien, body snatchers scenario. It's been done to death, and this isn't a very interesting rendition of it at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, I'll get to my bits before at the end, I think. But yes. Elton,
Yes.
I know you obviously you were last we heard on the Shonky Lab. You were about episode 6. How does it feel jumping forward about 25 to 30 episodes and then getting this?
Where I've got up to, I think I've got up to an episode called Ice.
Yes.
And it's pretty much The Thing, but with Mulder and Scully in there.
Yes.
And that, for me, I don't know if I've missed anything, but that tends to be the start of the overriding arc. You have all the black goo, a little bit of black goo. You have things going up people's arms and aliens being in other people's bodies and taking over other people's bodies. And this is... It kind of helped watching that before watching the movie.
Right.
I saw the movie in the cinema, but I saw it from a point of... I used to watch the X-Files on TV. It was just a Monster of the Week program at the time. I didn't really get the arc at all. And so it was just, it's a stretched out episode of X-Files, which I was quite happy to see, to be honest. The first time you see Scully on the actual big screen, you kind of sit there going, yeah, X-Files is on the big screen.
You didn't just feel funny in the pantal region.
I had that as well, yes.
Yes. It's like the biggest copy of FHM I've ever seen.
But it was great to see them on the actual screen itself. Looking back at it this time, I was trying to go in there with my rose-tinted specs off my face and watch it for these purposes. And once I saw John Locke in there, I was, oh my God, this is brilliant. I love it. I don't care.
Oh God, Terry O'Quinn, yeah, the weirdest moment, because the other thing is he also features in Millennium, the other Chris Carter series, which actually started around the same time as the film, around the same time as the first X-Files film.
Did Chris Carter write Harsh Realm?
Yes, he did.
Because Terry O'Quinn's in that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, definitely one, definitely old boys club there.
It certainly is.
Wow, he got a conservatory out of sitting in front of a vending machine and having someone blow flour in his face with a bright light behind it. But anyway, go on. Carry on, Elton, sorry.
But yeah, watching it this time round, I tried to watch it with the glasses off, and as soon as I saw Terry O'Quinn on there, I was, ooh, okay. They're starting to slip back on again, and I'm just going to go into the mode of just enjoying it. But I soldiered through, and I still quite like this. Yes, it is an episode just stretched out, but I just enjoy it, every single bit of it. There are bits where Mulder's having that discussion down the back alley, and it feels like they're trying to bring in JFK a little bit, trying to add massive amounts of dialogue just to sound important, and it doesn't really work.
No.
But apart from that, I quite like it.
Okay. Right. Well, we'll move on now before we go round and then come back on it. So over to you, Mr. Barnard. What did you think about it?
What did I think about it?
Yes.
Well, I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was a lot better than... Because I don't remember being upset by it watching it back then, because I think I was actually following the series up to that point anyway and past that.
We hadn't quite got to Krychek rat boy bloke, did we?
Yeah.
Going to Russia.
I can't quite remember what was going on. I think they were actually building the series up to the film anyway.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I think they'd been, the X-Files had been stopped, of course.
Yeah, that was the cliffhanger for that particular season.
And then they went off and, they have their adventures here. There are one or two things that I don't quite understand that go on in the film.
What, the bits between the start and the end?
Yeah, that's what. Funny you should say that, because the bits they were in there. Yeah. It's like, okay, so you've got these firemen and this small boy that have been infected by the black oil.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll come back to the black oil as well, because this negates something that they show in the TV series as well.
Okay,
but going on with this, why, why do you need to rig up an overly complicated fake terrorist attack when you could just stick these bodies in a fucking furnace? What is the point of blowing up a fucking building
and
just chuck them in a fucking fire?
And it didn't fucking work either.
If you want to camera mice, I've got a backyard. I'll stick some wood out there, put some petrol on it, and we'll have a cook up or something. Have a few beers.
But it didn't even work, did it?
No,
it didn't even work. They were in bags and looking juicy, which you wouldn't have imagined if you blew up an entire building to get rid of them.
It's like, what was the fucking point in that?
The bodies weren't in the building when it exploded.
No, they were.
They were, because they were pulled from the rubble. That was the thing.
There was the whole thing. There was the whole thing with the actual
Kurzweil
council
even says
as well. They're saying, you said the building was clear. We found the bodies of 3 firemen and a child in there.
Yeah, they say that they pulled bodies, but they've covered that up, and they've left the bodies in situ to be all gooey and full of aliens and stuff like that. But really, they're just they can plant mannequins down there and say, "Oh, look, we're pulling out charred bodies." But it's all a cover up. It's brilliant.
But if you were covering it up, why draw attention to it?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's like
you're going to blow a building up to pull out 3 bodies that weren't in the building.
Yeah.
And put them in a morgue, which is a military morgue, so therefore no one's got access to it. And then you're going to issue a report to the FBI and say, we pulled 3 bodies out.
Why not just burn these bodies, stick them in a furnace? That's it. Just get rid of the old-fashioned way.
That's sending up a flag saying something's dodgy.
Cremate the bastard.
I understand that, but it's a over-elaborate way of covering something up where you don't need to actually blow up a building for it. But you had...
okay. I'll tell you what, Elton. How many shoes have I got on?
Sometimes I hate you.
How many shoes have I got on, Elton?
I'm going to guess at 1.
You're absolutely correct. However, you wouldn't have even considered that if I hadn't stood there and gone, how many shoes have I got on, Elton?
No, I wouldn't have.
Exactly.
Yeah,
no one cares.
There's something else as well that it kind of it kind of negates as well. You have the alien bounty hunters in the TV series, right? Okay. Now this is the
most stupid design in human history, given that they've got no eyes and no mouth.
This is it.
And
the
no
reason they've got no nostrils, no mouth, is because they've sewn them up so the black oil can't get into them. So, can you explain to me how this black oil can enter a person's body through their feet?
Through their shoes?
Through the shoes, yeah. Well, it goes up to the ankle, whatever. It's not an orifice of any kind. It's an actual, it's unbroken skin. So what's the point of sewing up your mouth, your eyes, and I mean, how the fuck can you see anyway? What are we? Are they like, we're going by sense of smell? Not even by sense of smell, because they've blocked up their fucking nose as well.
Yeah.
So
they
it's
breathe
like
through their bumhole.
No, they must have welded that up.
Now it's like Dave the alien has got his mates who
maybe one of those guys was in that.
Points them in the right direction and just goes, "Go on, just walk in a straight line until you hit something."
And then shoot it.
Just shoot stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that bounty hunter.
Oh, I forgot. You can't hear me because you've sewn your fucking ears up. Oh, we're a bit fucking
hunter
lost.
Was in the toilet booth in Escape Studios.
Was he?
Was it? Yes. That sound was actually where he basically exploded.
You see, they can't exactly be accurate about what goes on in the real world with the brown goo.
No.
Okay, they've changed it to the black goo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Tim, the security guard, hasn't been seen again.
There you are. Yeah. He was an alien bounty hunter and exploded.
He certainly was.
Oh my God, the whole of Escape Studios is going to get blown up, isn't it, just to cover up the body.
Okay, and of course, the one last thing that kind of gets on my goat, we have the final sequence of the film, okay, where you've got Scully, you've got Scully in the ice thing, and he drags her out of this, and she's like literally half dead. But then suddenly she finds the energy to get up and run for it and get out. And then she hasn't got enough energy to actually just open her eyes and look up in the sky with this great big fucking flying saucer. And it makes a bit of a racket as well. So, you know, she might get a bit disturbed in her slumber.
Yeah.
You know, what with all the ice cracking and shit like this.
There's slightly more to it than that. I mean, let's be honest, you know, she's inside an alien spaceship. She wakes up inside an alien spaceship, which clearly looks like an inside of an alien spaceship.
Well, actually, it looks like a refinery in Dartford, but, you know, don't worry about that.
with glowing...
The HR Ganga playset as I call it.
Yeah, it's the Prometheus refinery. But it also has all those green glowing pods with clearly aliens in it.
Yeah.
Which then all go completely mad and then chase after Mulder. And she looks back and sees him running away from something very scary that's screeching like this. And there's claws and everything.
Yeah.
And then she falls over, knocks her head, can't see, knows that something's collapsed, and knows that something's gone over her head. And
there's a massive, mile-wide, fucking saucer-shaped hole in the ice behind her.
Yeah.
There's the
what could it be?
Just before I forget, because I'm having the acid flashbacks now,
Nice.
There's the inclusion of fan wank in there as well, which is the bit where they
Is that the black goo?
Nah, yeah. The bit where they stood in, I think it's in Mulder's house or something, and they go to kiss, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Seriously, you've been in probably worse scrapes than this in the series, and there's been no snogging. Why the snogging?
Because it's a trailer moment. It's one of the moments that features in the trailer. And then she gets trained by the most well-trained bee in Hollywood history.
Yes.
Eric the Half a Bee.
Eric the Half a Bee.
Eric a half bee, yeah. Eric half bee and Rakeem.
Yes. Peace.
Because I tell you what, not only did that bee survive the explosive decompression thing where they go out of the bubble, right, which is obviously designed to kill the bees and stop them from escaping.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did it do that, but it stayed on her clothes until she got to a hotel.
Yeah.
Then it stayed on her clothes and the new clothes when she got changed to go to the hearing.
In fairness, you would though, wouldn't you?
Yes. But yeah, well, obviously, it's obviously a bee that knows which way his bread's buttered. But
it's a bee that reads FHM.
Yes, exactly. It's FHB.
Yeah, I felt a bit jealous when Mulder was closing in, so it was like, fucking have some of this.
Yeah.
She was still in the same clothes as she went to that meeting.
No, she wasn't.
She was, because she was rushing into the meeting doing her hair because she said she had to be back in a meeting in like 11 hours.
Yeah, so okay then. All right then. Let's just not
So
argue
Scully
about
does
the clothes.
walk of shame, as they call it.
Let's not talk about the clothes. Let's talk about the fact that she's obviously been on a plane. To fly
Bees
from
can
Dallas.
go on planes?
Yeah. What, from Dallas to was it Washington? And somehow this bee has not left her body or her suit, or been detected, or been crushed.
I'm just firing up Google Maps now just to see how far it is between 2 points.
And then it stays
Maybe
on.
it was sleeping.
Then it stays on her clothes.
He was looking at her mozzie bites.
Yeah.
Maybe it was pining for the fjords.
Yeah. Maybe it was lying down after a long squawk. I mean,
But by the end of it, it shuffled off this mortal coil and joined the choir invisible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, ceased to be. But anyway,
He's an ex-bee.
But then it sits all the way through the hearing as well. And then
You're going, objection, Your Honour.
yeah, exactly. Sits all the way through the hearing, then has the results of the hearing. Then she gets in a car and drives to Mulder's house, where then she's stung. I think that's roughly speaking. I mean, given the X-Files kind of time that they kind of set up, I reckon that's about anywhere between 12 and 15 hours. You've done well as a bee to stay on one person and not be detected for 12 to 15 hours. I think.
I don't see your point.
You don't see my point. It's fucking stupid, is what it is, mate. That is the most well-trained bee ever.
I'll have you know that my missus has ironed one of my shirts once before, and I've gone to put it on the next day which is at least 8 hours after that. I've put it on, and there has been a bee in my polo shirt.
Was the bee there when she was doing the ironing?
Yes,
Oh.
apparently it was, because it got stuck on my polo shirt outside. She ironed around that bee.
Oh, so Boudoir actually ironed around the bee. So is she not part of some global conspiracy to take you out?
I don't think she actually ironed around the bee, but
just
it survived an ironing, and yet it was still living when I put that thing on. And you have never seen a man take a polo shirt off quicker than I did that day.
I would argue that she hasn't ironed it. I think she's telling you a fib.
How dare she?
I don't think she's doing her wifely duties, if I'll be honest with you.
Just looking at the distance between Washington and Dallas, and there's a bit of legwork to get done there.
As a bee, it's got a bit of Go on, how far?
Right, okay, so let's do the walking guide, shall we?
What, on Google?
How long will it take to walk from Dallas to Washington?
Go on.
Okay, choose your starting point. Dallas.
Pretty much in the middle, mate.
Yeah, right there. Well, go for the outskirts. Be generous. The ring road round the outside.
Let's go Washington.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I can hear Sean and Melissa now actually from the future screaming down the actual, screaming at the podcast.
I thought you would have had this all set up.
Oh yeah, of course.
Didn't you know? Anyway,
okay, it would take you walking 18 days and 19 hours, and it's 1,366 miles.
Right. Okay. So you're talking.
Would you like to view an alternative route?
Yeah. So what's that? 1,000 miles. So on a plane, that's got to be about 2 to 3 hours. On a plane. Okay. So that's from when she said, "I've got 10 hours to be back at the hearing," and then she's back at the hearing. So that's 10 hours later, and then obviously getting to Mulder's house and getting stung. And that's all apparently planned by the consortium as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to find some way of taking her out. And then the first thing they do is tell her where to find him. Tell him where to find her. Anyway, go on. Okay, anything else, Dal, before I go off on one?
No, that's about it.
Okay. Right, well, watching it the first time on YouTube, I watched it in chunks. And I have to say, as 45-minute chunks, it was all right. I enjoyed it. Because it was 45 minutes, stop, walk away, come back, another 45 minutes, stop, walk away, come back. And essentially I watched 3 episodes of The X-Files, which were all of varying quality, but they were all right. But the one thing, when I watched it on Channel 4, or sort of simultaneously watched it on Channel 4 and my fucking iPad while I'd paid for it, it was fucking boring. I mean, genuinely boring. It was throwing all its stuff into a pot, and it didn't quite know what it wanted to do first. It wanted to, we're breaking the X-Files up, and we're breaking Scully and Mulder up. But actually over here we've got alien invasion, and here's some aliens, and let's go back in time and show you some cavemen, and let's see some kids, and oh look, all this turf has been freshly laid, and look, there's some inflatable balloons over there, and it's obviously a secret base. And then we're going to the consortium who don't want to kill Mulder, even though that would be obviously the easiest route. And then we don't want to kill Mulder, but we do want to break them up. But they're already broken up. That was the whole thing, that the FBI are splitting them up. So couldn't they just wait? But no, we have to do something to draw attention to ourselves. And that's the thing. All these conspiracy theories are flawed by the simple fact that the first thing that the people who are doing the conspiracy theories are doing is drawing attention to themselves by doing something fucking odd. And then having someone mysteriously step out of the shadows and go, "Ah, Mr. Mulder, you may not know this, but I know something you don't know. And, I mean, if it wasn't for Duchovny and Anderson being quite watchable duo on screen, I would have turned it off long before that, because they were really watchable, and the dialogue back and forth between those two is quite good. But I just felt like there was conspiracy on conspiracy on conspiracy on conspiracy, and like any one of them could have been just a fairly good story. But then it's like the black goo gestates into a big killer alien, and the virus can be defeated by an antivirus, and who's going to get the antivirus? Well, who's investing in the antivirus? And then there's this really weird bit, which really threw me, when they sneak into the military base, the super secret military base, which apparently no one knew existed until they just turned up. And they walk in and they browbeat the guy behind the desk and walk in. And then Mulder just goes, oh, right, okay, now you're going to do an autopsy. You don't see how he leaves. And he's got to walk past Mr. Div behind the door.
Mm.
But also, Scully has clearly not left. So she's doing a little autopsy on Mr. Jellyman, and she's doing some autopsies, and then all of a sudden you get this really weird scene where obviously Doorman and two other military types turn up, and she's vanished. She's hiding, and she's hiding in the cold storage locker. Then she's hiding underneath a body. And she's hiding underneath the body, and then all of a sudden you see all this goo start to drip down. And you think, oh, something weird's going to happen here. And it just cuts, and next thing you know, she's walking up to Mulder going, I spent a couple of hours in that fridge, and now I've got out, and here I am with the evidence. It's like, what? Surely the whole escaping from that facility would have been something to see, perhaps? And obviously the whole problem you had with the why draw attention to the fact that there are bodies in the building. If there weren't bodies in the building, then why blow the building up? Why not just hide the bodies or do something else with them?
Why do that in the first place? Why you're trying to be covert about this. Just take the straightforward route. Burn them.
Yes, burn the bodies.
Yeah.
So, and then it turns out like they've got another body of another person who was infected in the facility in Texas.
I have a question, by the way, talking about people being infected.
Yeah.
Now, a vaccine.
Yes.
Okay. Now, a vaccine is not a cure; it's a prevention, isn't it? You have to be injected with a vaccine before you catch the disease to stop you from getting the disease.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Okay. So, what was the use of giving Scully the vaccine when she's already infected? Shut up, that's why.
Well, I tell you what, go worse than that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. They get away. They
kicking the mic stand.
They escape. They escape from the UFO, which isn't a UFO, but it might be a UFO. But they built a base on top of it. But they've got aliens in there and humans and everything else, which is just nonsense. But anyway, they've got this fucking thing. It's escaped. They've escaped from it, yeah? What happens just before they escape? Everyone runs out of the base.
Yeah.
Jumps on snowplows.
Yep.
And fucks off.
That's right.
How did Mulder get there?
Where?
Magic!
How did he get to that base?
He got there on a snowplow
that was running out of
He
fuel.
disguised himself as a bee and hitched a ride in someone's uniform.
Was it actually running out of fuel?
Yeah, because he taps the fuel thing and it's running out.
Right, okay.
So, he's got no snowplow. Everyone else is fucked off with all the good ones. The base has been destroyed, so there's no shelter. How do they get home?
McCready comes and picks them up.
Yeah.
That was 1982. You can't fool me.
Then you notice he's not got any sort of like
breath coming out.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyone want to field that very small but significant question? Seeing as Scully was naked except for the coat.
Nice.
And nice. Covered in goo. And Mulder he'd given his coat to Scully.
He gave her a pair of trousers and a pair of shoes as well.
Yes, exactly. So she's got his protective covering on her, and she's got no undergarments. So therefore, she's about to freeze to death. Mulder has given all these protective undergarments to her, or overgarments to her, so he's going to freeze to death, and they have no snowplow, no base, no shelter, no one around, except for a hole in the ground, which is big and sort of round.
You're a poet.
Yeah, there I was digging this hole in the ground, this big and sort of round. Anyway, so how the fuck did they get home?
Like I said, thumb a lift.
From what? A passing seal?
Passing seal. Who had to be
Pingu
going
to the
by
rescue.
on his skidoo.
Fucking penguin. Anyway,
Can I give you a lift anywhere? Hop on. Are you the female of your species?
toot toot. Anyway, so yeah, that bugged me. and then you got the whole thing with fucking the Jolly Green Giant corn oil. What the fuck was that all about?
Well, it was disguising the trucks as it's like,
Disguising the trucks. Why? Given that no one had seen them.
It's
There.
well, you know, of course. Like, I mean, if you're like me, when you see an unmarked tanker,
Yeah.
you sit there and you have to go and investigate.
Yeah, obviously that's the first thing
Yeah.
you do. But then the hearing, which Scully and Mulder miraculously get back for, using no transport, with no protection or clothing, and is clearly they were in Antarctic, weren't they?
Yeah.
So get on your map. How far away was that?
Okay.
That's further than any B, I reckon.
Let's have a look and see.
McMurdo Sound to
McMurdo, right?
yeah,
Okay.
McMurdo Sound to Washington.
I'm officially looking this up now.
Right. So while that's going on, they go back to the hearing, and the lady behind the counter, who is Buffy's mum, is sitting there, and she's going, well, we were going to pin all of this shit on you, but now we're not. But we don't have any evidence. And then what happens? Scully pulls out the bee that stung her, but now it's dead.
Here we
How
go.
did she get the bee? Given that the bee stung her, she pulled it out on her fingers and went, I've been stung by a bee, and then falls over, and Mulder sort of deals with her. So the bee is in Mulder's apartment. So how did she get the bee? And anyone? Bueller?
According to the wiki, the bee had been collected by the lone gunman.
The lone gunman? How would
Apparently.
they know to collect the bee, given that Scully had been taken away and Mulder had been unconscious because he got
being hackers,
shot?
they want to get travel tips from this bee because it's obviously, it's travelled 1,000 miles and not paid a goddamn cent in airfares.
EasyJet. EasyJet bee. I mean, how did they know? Because he got shot in the head and spent X amount of time completely out of it, not saying a word. Scully has vanished, and they wake up. Mulder wakes up and finds the lone gunman, by which time, presumably, Mulder's house has been scoured. So, how do they find a bee in a corridor? And the bee was alive. It's fucking flown away. How does that happen? Elton?
I don't think bees live that long after stinging. So
But this is
I
an
would say
alien bee.
it was.
And it was still alive when she picked it up. She was holding it by the wings, and its little legs were going
Yeah.
in the close-up. So it's a special bee.
All I can say is that, bees rip out their intestines when they leave their sac in you, don't they?
Don't we all?
All I can surmise is that maybe it was left on a shelf somewhere for Mulder to pick up later on.
But
Everyone finds a bee on their shelf, don't they?
well, Yeah, I guess if I look, I might find one. I've got an elephant and some screws and some crystal thing going on, which kids are doing, but I don't think I can see a bee. Not an alien one, anyway.
No, this is true. Yeah. There are massive plot holes in this movie. No one can deny that.
So much that a dog driving a bus could go through them. Call back. How far is it from...
okay, how about this, right? There's a place called McMurdo Station in Antarctica.
Yes, McMurdo Sound, yeah.
Going from there, right, just looking at the map, I can see that New Zealand is actually closer, a lot closer to this place than Washington. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's got to be at least a couple of thousand miles.
How is it for walking?
It's not.
No? Google Maps isn't giving you a route.
Well, they do say take some waterproofs because, it might get a bit damp on the journey.
Feeding off penguins.
Yeah. Well, the fact that there's a great big fucking ocean between you and the target, it's...
Okay.
So looking at this, I mean, look, there's freaking Washington there.
Yeah.
And there's McMurdo Station all there. Look, there's New Zealand, there's Australia, look.
Okay, well, Australia to get across in that direction is about 7 hours. So let's look at that. So what's that, 14 hours just to get to Australia? Yeah, and then it's another 20 hours to get to America. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's almost like a day and a half.
Yeah,
by plane.
That's an awful lot of rowing.
Not dragging along a half dead secret agent and another one not wearing his wetwear. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So the whole thing. Because it wasn't until someone explained the whole plot again of the overall arc. Did anyone actually figure out what was going on from simply the film, not from like speaking to anyone else or looking it up on the wiki? Did anything in the film actually tell you exactly what was going on? Like, because as far as I could tell, if you look at the film purely as the film, there's a consortium of people who are making the Alien B black goo. They've made a virus. They've made an antivirus, and they're helping spread it. And it's like, didn't we see this plot in Spawn?
There was a plot in Spawn.
Well, there was this whole thing about like spreading a virus and then having been the only ones with a cure. But
Are you saying it doesn't really work as a standalone movie without all the other guff that goes around it?
Yeah, but I'm also trying to work out if the plot actually, if the actual, because that was the whole thing with the film, wasn't it? It was that those are all the answers. The answers are all in this store. This that's how it was kind of sold. And
well, the thing is, for my Hypnobobs research, I'd read up extensively on the myth arc, as they call it. Myth arc, honestly.
Myth arc. Fucking hell.
But,
pretentious much?
So it was kind of, when I watched the film, I thought, bloody hell, they're really dropping a huge chunk of it in this movie. Which I imagine, say, if you'd been following it on the TV and went to see it, that would have been pretty wow at the time. But how much it would have made sense if I hadn't done that research, I wouldn't like to say. I'd have been going, eh? What?
Yeah. Because that's the thing. To me, it just seemed like it wasn't really directing you in the way that the plot should be going. It's like you've got these bad guys who are actually the good guys, but they're trying to split up the good guys who could solve all the problems by spreading the antivirus and then giving them the antivirus to save each other. And then, it just made no fucking sense.
But didn't a lot of the episodes make no sense sometimes as well?
Well, that's true. I mean, but the thing was, the standalone episodes were all fine and dandy, but the arc just slowly got more and more convoluted and disappeared up its own arse quite quickly, and everyone started doing that whole thing of, you're making it up as you go along. And that was the thing for me. It was a case of looking at it this time, because I just watched the pilot, hadn't I, and then sent some feedback into Shonky Lab, and it was like, I've watched the pilot. That's quite cool because you don't get to really understand what's going on, and there's a certain ambiguity. But in this one, you've actually got monsters in caves. You've got things bursting out of people because it's made of black goo. You've got the black goo which then spreads, and then you've got bees which are somehow spreading the black goo as well. The
bees are cross-pollinating though, aren't they? And that's where the oil comes from.
Okay, so that's another hole in the plot there. Okay, if the bees are spreading this by the pollen, why should it matter that Scully was stung? It's not in her sting. It's not in the bee's sting. It's on the pollen. So, what was the point of stinging her? I mean, getting her infected. She couldn't become infected by that unless you've genetically created it. And it doesn't say anything about the bees being genetically altered to actually carry the disease. They're just picking up the pollen from this genetically engineered wheat, or should I say, from the corn.
The way I got it was that the wheat was growing over a patch where the oil could be. And so the bees were taking the nectar, which they drink, and also cross-pollinating the wheat so it grows even more, so they can create more oil to spread it around and put it into the human system. And that's how the bee actually got the oil in its system.
But then, if they're doing that, then surely already people would be infected. And given that the infection was clearly doing all these weird things with people and turning them into jelly people, which would then turn into alien killing machines, it's like, and it was also driven by temperature. It would happen really fast unless it was cold.
Yeah.
Then surely if people are drinking gallons of corn oil and corn syrup and corn products, then they've all got the oil in them, which means they're all infected. I don't see how that works as a plot if you've immediately infected the entire world.
You'd have to get that out there. If you're going to do the pollination thing, it's basically the bees are a carrier to go to plants to infect them, and then the process just takes care of itself. That's basically what I think they were trying to do there.
The movie doesn't tell you how far along the process they are on.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, and that's part of my problem. I think is when I was watching it in chunks, it was making perfect sense because it was, you've got the procedural thing with who's blowing up a building. Then the second part is they're trying to split us up, Scully, and Martin Landau, who's clearly got back from his moon base, basically
who's still on the moon base somewhere.
Yeah, he's going for a piss in an alleyway in a really important location which would never turn up in the X-Files before or since, because it seemed to be really important, that pub, but it never turns up any other time. Anyway, and it's like, and that's like the standard conspiracy, why are people disappearing, or what's going on in Texas? That was quite on. And then then the last bit is, we're off in crazy land, we've got a bit of budget, let's go to the Arctic and film a spaceship. And I don't know, to me the whole thing with the well-dressed man, isn't it the well-dressed man?
Well-manicured man.
Well-manicured man, Baron Munchausen. 1 minute he's fine, next minute his kid breaks a leg, his grandkid breaks a leg, and then all of a sudden he has a massive crisis of conscience and says, okay, right, fine, changing all the rules. And it's just like, to me, the whole thing just seems a bit confused.com. I mean, why did he suddenly have to change your heart?
I don't know. I see. The thing is, I'm not that much up to speed with the X-Files that I know all these answers.
Well, I don't. That's the thing, though. I think that was the problem with the arc in general, is that even if you did know that it would set itself out a question based on something it made up at the time, and then they'd spend like 4 episodes trying to get out of it. So,
but half the reason that a lot of people don't really like this movie is because it was set up as a standalone movie, which you should be able to follow along. But also, there's tons of other things there which the people have been watching for 4 seasons up until that point will love. And they're the bits that you can't quite grasp.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's like there's so much of it which is setting up here, and most of it feels like suddenly introduced, and it all feels like it's papering over cracks. Because it's like, as we know, they got to sort of season 5, they're going to make movies and stop there, but they got told make more seasons, and so therefore had to make more of this stuff up, and then it just got more and more crazy. And it's just, to me, that this film is kind of, it's neither a horrible film, because I did watch it, I obviously watched it more than once as well, but it's not horrible. It's just. It just seems to be putting a loads of questions up and then not actually telling you any answers. It just throws up all these questions. And you're just like, you come away thinking, well, if you watched an old X-Files, a lot of it was, do aliens exist? Well, yeah, clearly they do. They're fucking down caves in Texas.
He stood right
there, attacking cavemen,
biting your face off.
Yes, exactly. So there's lots of these mysteries which get solved, but the real core one is into, why is Mulder going here? Why is Scully over there? Why have they split them up and yet putting them back together again? Why is she infected the next minute she's not? Why, how come they can train all these bees, but the bees are clearly fucking insane? There's so much weird stuff going on. It just feels so random, and it feels like there's about 20 plots and any one of them could have been a good story on their own. But instead they choose to make this kind of hodgepodge of trying to please the fans and trying to lure people in.
Yeah, I think you're right there are so many plots in this movie, but they tended to have a great... Whether you believe these bodies were in the building or not at the time that it was blown up, I'm of a position where the bodies were nowhere near the building. There was 2 firemen that were killed and a little boy that was killed. They had to cover that up, otherwise the parents and the families and the relatives would go screaming to the press. And so they devised one way or the other to blow up a building, and apparently these bodies would be pulled from the rubble. Now, when John Locke turns up and lands on the federal building, he seems to be guiding them to everyone towards this federal building, whereas Mulder has gone on his instinct and gone, oh, hang on, it's going to be over in that building over there. Wow, look, it is over that building. And you see when Terry walks into this room and finds the thing and tells everyone to clear out the building, he sits down and he's resigned, knowing that there's a cover-up coming along. He kind of sits there pondering, going, just watching the clock count down. He's not going to be trying to take this bomb apart. He's more resigned to, I'm going to die, there's a cover-up, I don't want to be involved in it anymore. And so he's trying to remove himself from that situation. You also had the Oklahoma bombings around about this sort of time as well, or a little bit before this. They wanted that shot there because they had all the facilities to copy that. And so you had that in there as well. But with the bodies allegedly being pulled out of that building, you had one taken off to, was it New Mexico or wherever it was, where they had it in the underground hatch, and they had the alien gestating in that body. And so they split these off. They're looking to get a cure for this, or maybe a vaccine for this. And so you got a great story there, whether you needed to blow up a building or not. But then they lost their way. They wanted to make it like JFK. There's a massive conspiracy. And it didn't quite work. And then they also wanted to put a big spaceship in the end. and that's where it all got a little bit lost.
Yeah, in the Lost kind of way as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall, the film didn't offend me. It just confounded me, because I just sat there going, okay, this is another new piece of information which isn't going to get resolved. Because that's the other thing. The X-Files gets reopened when clearly all that Mulder and Scully have done is racked up a massive amount of air miles, and shat on the memory of an apparent, on a sort of dead fucking FBI agent. And then they just go, yeah, well, fine, we can't prove anything, and we were going to pin it on you, but we ain't. There you go.
Look, here's a B.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Here's a
we'll
B.
open everything up again.
Here's a
really?
B. It proves my story completely. Not, oh, by the way, here's a 60-mile wide hole in Antarctica, which could be probably photographed from a spy satellite, or, by the way, have you noticed there's a load of cornfields that suddenly sprung up out of nowhere? All this stuff that was actual evidence that got ignored. But
I think the bee turning up towards the end in the little glass vial is more of a callback to the actual pilot episode where she had that little bit of metal.
Yes.
In the glass vial. It's kind of just, oh look, fans, we've done it again.
Yes, which is lovely and all, but yeah. The whole film just left me a bit nonplussed in the end. I mean, like I say, watching these segments was fine, but watching the whole thing, it just felt dragged out. Before we go to feedback, one last little thing about the film. Do you like the film? Did you think it was good? What about you, Dal? Is it something you'd watch again?
I probably would if I saw it on TV, and I'd stop and probably watch it. But I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it.
Okie dokie. And what about the X-Files in general?
The X-Files in general, different kettle of fish because it's a TV show, so you've got the arc and everything. I think it was a question that, indeed, it was a question that was on the Shonky Lab that was put to Emma. In fact, I think it was put to all of you, wasn't it? What would you choose, Monster of the Week or arc?
Story, yeah.
And I think I would have to say more in the Monster of the Week camp, although I do think that, if I remember rightly, there were one or two arc bits that I thought were pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, Monster of the Week that's where some of the best writing, some of the best and funniest stories were as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And Jim, what about you?
Well, so I didn't hate it. I quite enjoyed it, though I was left underwhelmed. And so if I hadn't done my research, I suspect I might have been annoyingly confused. So I think overall the film kind of, it tries to be standalone, but it's also just so heavily wired into the continuity at the same time. It sort of falls between two stools, I think. I don't think it does either very well. It just comes out as being a bit, yeah. It's not terrible. I do think, I'd watch it again if I was doing a full rewatch. Other than that, I probably wouldn't bother. I'd much rather just watch some old X-Files episodes.
Yeah. And what about the X-Files in general? I mean, do you still like it, or is it something that didn't really bother you? Or
well, it's one of those I have fond memories of it, and but I think coming back to the thing, I enjoyed the Monster of the Week, and I enjoyed the story arc in the beginning, but I think it suffered from that thing of kind of, you set up this big mystery, then you've got to deliver, and when it's just the bloody Greys, you just go, oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, they're not really doing. They tried, but I think they just span it out too long, and that's why I tuned out in the end, because kind of like, look, we know it's bloody aliens, and I can't do with this boneheaded skepticism from Scully much longer.
Yeah, that's true.
That was, it was a good dramatic conflict, but when you're running this kind of storyline where there clearly are aliens, it becomes just irritating after a while. And the storyline itself got just too convoluted. I mean, so after I sort of tuned out watching it regularly, like yourself, I would, if I saw there was a standalone episode, I would watch that and, dipped in and out and kind of, all right, so it's not part of the alien storyline. I'll watch that, and, it's still entertaining. It's still good. I mean, it was an ambitious show. Yeah, it was the X-Files.
That's that.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. And over to you, Mr. Elton. I mean, I guess you like the film, but would you watch it again?
Yes, I would watch it again. Not too soon though. I think there's great bits there. I think maybe opportunity missed, though.
Yes, I go along with that, definitely. Yeah, he had a lot of potential. And what about the show? I mean, you're obviously only up to like episode 6 or 7, but you know, are you still enjoying it? Are you lacking? Is the enthusiasm waning now?
Oh no, I'm loving the show. I'm definitely going to do season 1. See how that goes. If I'm happy at the end of season 1, I'm banging there up until probably the movie.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
Fine. Cool. Okay, well, I think now it is time to move on to some feedback. And we'll hurry through this since we've just passed over into Wednesday.
Bye-bye, Tuesday.
Bye-bye, Tuesday. Right, okay, so let's get some... let's get the written feedback done first.
Now put your hands up, here online, doing real fine. We're doing our podcast thing. It's called Blackdog, it's not like a job. Is anyone there listening? What do you think about show? Let us know by MP3 or email. Just get it to us, it ain't no fuss. We'll even read your Twitter rings. Cause if you like us or you hate us, send some feedback in. Gotta geek and punch and rates and put some feedback in. If you think my voice is sexy, put some feedback in. Man, we really like it if you put some feedback in.
Right, okay, so it's time for feedback. We got a bit of feedback on here. So first off, we'll start with Martin Thompson. And Martin writes, "Good evening, Special Agent Medcalf, Barnard, Moon and McManus." A little bit prepared there. I first got into the X-Files TV show back when it first started. Not sure when I stopped, but it was probably around the 5th season. What are you doing?
Just looking at a disc there.
Oh, right. I can't work in these conditions.
Concentrate on the words.
Okay, I'm trying to hold it at arm's length. I haven't got my glasses on. So I first got into the TV show back when it first started. Not sure when it stopped. Probably around about 5th season. I never saw the movie until a few years ago when Virgin 1 reran the TV series. So I put on the movie at the appropriate juncture. It was okay. I don't remember having much love or hate for it. For this rewatch, I tried to see it as if I was watching it without the knowledge of a TV series, and I'll be interested to hear from any one of the feedbackers who has watched this fresh without having seen the series. It still makes a decent conspiracy thriller, although nothing seems to be resolved by the end. We just know a bit more about where the mess of an arc is heading. That's no bad thing though. Without the TV series to resolve it, this could have been a very bleak ending with an alien invasion seemingly inevitable. The Mulder and Scully partnership continues to shine on the screen, though it would have been nice to recap as to who they were and what the X-Files were. This comes along when they've been closed. Perhaps we could have had a voiceover from Mulder as he sits there in the bar, just hearing recapping of the story so far for those who don't know about the show. While the second movie catches up with their heroes, this one features them at their height of their success and right in the thick of it. It feels the most faithful. In the end, I doubt I would have put this film on again had it not been for our film of the week and part of the Shonky Dog Bops X-Files celebration. I don't expect to see it again, and it was enjoyable enough watching Mulder and Scully chase shadows and it was like putting on a comfy old jumper. Until next time, the truth is out there, Martin. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Martin. Actually, it was interesting, that whole info dump when Mulder's completely drunk in the bar was kind of a bit ham-fisted, wasn't it? And did anyone else get that? It was like, here's the exposition. You almost needed Michael York turning up going, now listen carefully. This is the information you need to know. And my name is Spooker Mulder. I did... Thanks.
It was like he was reading off the back of the DVD case, actually.
Oh, dear. Anyway, right, over to you, Darren, because we've now got Ollie Peters of Six Claw Paw.
Okie dokie.
Come on, all together now. And we will be seeing Ollie at the Blackdog Shindig, which is on October the 5th, at a location still to be defined, given that I phoned up the fucking pub today. And what pub hires out a venue room till 7 o'clock and then says you can't have it until 8?
Yeah, we'd rather have them turn around and just gone, sorry, mate, it's
Can't
booked
have
out.
it, yeah. So,
Fucking
fuck that. So we're still looking
Did you
for a
try
venue.
and hire out a McDonald's party booth or something?
Oh, my word. There
We
you
could
go.
have done
That's
that.
the way we could go.
Man, that'd
You've
be
got your
great.
food and your drink in there.
Exactly. And novelty party hats.
And Hamburglar. Or do they not do hamburger and
No,
cheese
no,
anymore?
it has a whole negative connotation nowadays.
Right, okay.
Anyway,
Back to Ollie's feedback.
back to Ollie.
Ollie writes, hey, dudes. First
Hello.
off, Lee, you bastard.
What?
You bloody bastard, actually.
Oh.
I wasn't going to watch this film until you announced it was on the other night. Now, as I sat and watched it, I realised that I've seen it before. I have no idea when or where, but I remember nearly all of the film, so I couldn't have been that stoned. So basically, the film is a long, drawn-out two-parter. Nothing really happens. When shit goes down, nothing happened. All the skullduggery and cloak and dagger and shit. Was never a fan of the series, so I just didn't care. Big meh for me, dudes. So, till next week, Ollie. Cheers, Ollie. That's kind of straight and to the point.
There you go.
I expect nothing more.
We're glad you loved it.
Yeah. Anything to brighten your day, mate. So now, I believe you got a piece of feedback, haven't you, Jim?
I have indeed, from
Okay.
Mr. Pete Hammond.
Ooh.
And he writes, hello, Lee and Darren.
Hello.
Jim and Elton.
Yes.
I just thought I'd add my feedback for the X-Files. I'm not sure if my interest in the X-Files had already died, or this film killed it. I think I'd gotten bored after they decided to write Anderson's pregnancy into the story. Certainly, I never saw any of this stuff after Duchovny left. Watched it on telly the other night. Not sure if it was just a dull watch, or if the post-rugby ibuprofen / Guinness mix I had taken had kicked in, but I just couldn't follow it. The one thing that stood out was when the bomb goes off, the disposal agent's jacket billows nicely as it goes off.
Nice effect.
Then it was all oil, bees, pah. I gave up.
Party in a film right there.
Oil and bees.
Watched Riddick too. That was shit. I know the whole anti-CGI arguments wind Lee up,
Yes.
but the CGI was appalling for the creatures. Certainly, the dog thing wouldn't have looked out of place in a PlayStation 2 game.
Oh.
The goodwill that Pitch Black has finally run out, I think. Anyhow, keep up the excellent work with the pod. Have now reached the Matrix sequels in my back catalogue slog, and I have to say, Mr. Moon made me almost crash my car. Brackets, Neo goes off to live with the tofu dolphins that live under the fridge.
The inspired one. Jim.
They've got sentinels, but they can't knit for shit. Anyhow, cheers, lads. Pete Hammond.
Thank you very much for that, Pete. That's
Cheers,
very
Pete.
good. Well, there you go. He must be over the moon now that you've read his feedback out now, Jim. He's probably crashed the car again. And ibuprofen and Guinness, a fine combination. I think everyone will agree. You're remarkably quiet, Elton. Any thoughts?
I was wondering, was he talking about the bad aliens in Riddick or bad aliens in the X-Files?
I think he was talking
in
about the
Riddick.
aliens in Riddick.
Oh, because we didn't really talk about the bad aliens in the X-Files either, did we?
Well, that's because they look like half-chewed pencils, covered in KY jelly, and then what you did see of them was usually blinking eyes, and then someone punching what appeared to be a rubber mat.
Yeah. Although I did appreciate them not trying to throw it down your face with a big, massive alien, and it was kind of snapshots. of the alien, which for me I prefer.
Yeah, because it worked so well for Ridley Scott back in 1979. Let's just show the teeth. Oh, let's show some slime. That'll work. Brilliant. Done. Wrap it up.
You're just a grumpy bastard. We all know that.
Excuse me, sir. I resemble that remark. No, come on. I mean, as aliens go, you're supposed to, given the X-Files the way it goes, you're supposed to accept that these mad, feral, big-eyed rubber mats with teeth covered in KY jelly are the same grey aliens that have been, co-opting and coercing governments for decades. When the first thing they do is immediately kill everyone.
Weren't the aliens we saw aren't the hybrids anyway?
Oh, okay. That's
possibly they're the kind of like feral bastard alien spawn rather than the actual proper greys who are masterminding things.
They're chav aliens.
Oh, from the planet Eltam.
They're fake green.
Right next to sorry. Right next to Shultar's Hill Galaxy.
In the Wheeling system.
Yeah, just around the corner from the sector of Louis E. Sham. New Cross. Anyway, we just lost all of our listeners from that area.
Yes.
Right, okay. So, last piece of written feedback before we get to Pete, the other member of the Shonky Lab. Oh, hold on. Oh, I've got a request. Oh, nice. Sorry. We might be going to see a film next Tuesday, so never mind. Moving on. We have Matt Jones, and Matt writes. Greetings, Lee, Darren, Jim and Elton. Hope you're all well. It's been quite a while since I sent in feedback, but your cross-podcast X-Files anniversary event type thing has inspired me to re-watch some old episodes for the first time in quite a few years. I was an avid viewer of the show for the first evening that the BBC Two showed the pilot, right up to the very last episode nearly 9 years later. It was one of my favourite TV shows, and I enjoyed both the so-called Monster of the Week episodes and even more so the story arc heavy mythology ones, which I began collecting on video when they were released. I remember being pretty excited for the movie, even though here in the UK we were a season behind the US and season 5 was yet to start airing. That can't really have bothered me, as I remember liking the film so much that I went back to the cinema for a repeat viewing on the spur of the moment after a few beers with a couple of friends. One of them being fellow Blackdogger Mark Last. So how would it all stand up today? Before the recent rewatch of the movie, I did a bit of X-Files marathon, having bought the complete box set several years ago, and only watching the first few seasons. I watched all of the mythology episodes from the end of season 3 up to the end of season 5 to see how the movie fitted in with the continuity of the show. Blimey, that's above and beyond the Call of Duty, but hey ho, go on, carry on. Carry on, good man. So, while I did enjoy it on this viewing, it was slightly underwhelming when seen as part of an ongoing story arc. Though there is a bigger scale of the film than the series usually managed, it doesn't advance the overall plot that much as I thought it had. Yes, it introduces the nasty alien beasts that have been frozen on Earth for thousands of years, but apart from that, it's not a lot revealed that loyal viewers didn't already know. The whole alien colonization plot, virus-carrying bees and the black oil have all been explored in some depth previously, and to me it seemed a bit dumbed down here as a part of the wider mythology. No doubt in an effort to attract the more casual viewers to the show. I can understand why they did this, but for the long-term fans it was a bit frustrating. That said, the performances are all good all round. The two leads and William B. Davis's sinister cigarette-smoking man is as effective as ever. It's good to see an appearance from Martin Landau too, and quite a shock when John Neville's well-manicured man, who has been making appearances in the show for the last few years, is killed when his car explodes. It's a shame that there isn't a bit more plot-wise for regular X-Files viewers. At least we get to see a bit more of the alien craft than usual with a bigger budget, which made for a good sequence, even if Scully inevitably missed it taking off. There are better episodes in the series than this film, but it isn't bad, and I've enjoyed the rewatch leading up to it, and no doubt continue to do so over the coming months. So compared to the later films that they made, it's a masterpiece, and really is Well, hold on. So compared to the later film they made, it's a masterpiece. That really is a boring and unworthy addition to the franchise. Well, it's good to be back. No doubt sending in more of my thoughts during our up-and-coming traditional month of horror. Till then, I bid you a good night, Matt. Oh, well, thank you very much for that, Matt. And it's interesting to hear from a point of view of someone who's actually watched all the ARC episodes leading up to it. And God almighty, did you really?
That's pretty hard going.
So from the sound of it, the film doesn't even really cover that much in the way of plot that people didn't already know, which makes the arc even more confusing to me. Because if that's if everything in that film is supposed to be sort of setting everything up, for the casual viewer,
maybe they were hoping that was going to be the jump-on point for new watchers.
Mm.
Sorry.
But for old watchers, it makes it kind of stale as well.
Yeah. So it's neither here nor there. It doesn't advance the plot, nor does it bring in new viewers, because everyone's sitting there going, "What the fuck?"
I think what they should have done is played to the show's strength, where the whole making this film is concerned.
Tits.
Yeah, this is it. They have an alien that lights the camera in a motorboat, ladies. So. They should have just had a Monster of the Week thing going on there. They should just had them investigating, I don't know, supernatural occurrence or something, but not have it at all linked with the arc of the show.
I think that's a good idea. That's
what
I was
just
kind of
do
hoping.
that. That would have been fun. I mean, they can do that. They've done it in the show. Do it in the film. I think they could have had a lot more fun with that as well.
Okie dokie. Well, Darren,
yes.
We got Sean McGowan on the Facebook group
Uh-huh.
of the Question Podcast, which you can find at thequestionpodcast.com, I believe. And you can also find it on iTunes, sitting on the front page for a fourth week in a row.
Yes.
On the iTunes front page. Anyway.
Okay. So
what does he have
Sean
to say?
writes, "Gah! It's Tuesday again. Didn't rewatch this week, but can say this. I'm a huge X-Files fan. I didn't dislike the film, but certainly thought it could have been more than what it was. It basically was a bridge between seasons 5 and 6, while at the same time an exposition dump for everyone who was not already a fan of the show. I liked it less the last time I saw it about a year ago, although I did enjoy it enough as a nostalgia piece." And that's it.
Oh, interesting.
Him done.
He be done.
He be done.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Sean. And you can hear more of Sean and his wife Melissa on the Question Podcast, which is about to cap 50 episodes this week when it gets released. 50. Woo! Right. So we got one more piece of written feedback with you, Jim, and then I'll cap the evening off with Pete's final missive. We'll come round to that at the last knockings. But anyway, go on. So, who have you got, Jim?
We have Murray Pieman Christiansen.
One of the many members of the Blackdog Justice League of shit.
Yes. I think you should definitely go around and recruit them. You should be the
Maxwell House.
Yeah, Maxwell House. No, you should definitely be what's his name, Nick Fury. But instead of wearing just one eye patch, wear two, one over each eye, or one on each ear.
I'd like to talk to you about the Black Dog Initiative.
Yeah. Who put that cupboard there?
Yeah, I'm an alien bounty hunter, so I can't see where I'm going. Anyway, go on. Sorry,
Who said that?
Yeah, Dumph. Walking into a door.
Anyhow, Murray writes, "Hi everyone. I remember the X-Files when it was big in the 90s. I also remember more or less giving up on the series, or at least the arc plot episodes. For me, it was a second or third two-part story where part one looked like everything had changed and would get really exciting, only for the second part to be an hour of backpedaling to return to the status quo. By the time the movie came out, I was done with the X-Files. Plus, I was at uni and my money was earmarked for beer, food and comics. So, this was my first time watching. Due to it being over a decade since I was involved in anything X-Files related, I'm coming to this as a relative outsider. Sure, I know Mulder, Scully and Cancer Man, but that was all I remembered. So, to the film. I actually quite enjoyed it. I'm sure about 90% of all the significance of bees, black oil and whatnot went over my head, but as a conspiracy thriller, it wasn't too bad. Once it gets going, it rattles along, only sacking occasionally, and tells a fairly engaging story. My main two complaints are as follows. First, there were a couple of scenes where Mulder and Scully info-dumped their backstories. Considering the film didn't elaborate on the secret alien conspiracy, the oil, etc., it seemed almost like someone panicked at the last minute and decided to throw in intros for anyone who had missed the X-Files. Second, the wider conspiracy was alluded to a lot. Clandestine meetings, veiled hints, and that final scene all lead the uninitiated to feel that they are missing something. I kind of agree with what Lee said last week. A standalone story would have been much better and worked for more people. As it is, the film will most likely seem too connected to the series for noobs, but too disconnected for avid followers. So, to summarise, it wasn't an awful film, but I wouldn't part with money to see it. I may even watch it again if it's on TV and there's nothing else on, and I couldn't be bothered to move my fat arse to put it on a DVD. But it wasn't shit, so that's something. Anyhow, keep up the good work, guys. Murray, Pieman, Christiansen.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
and,
cheers.
Interesting that he never watched the film before and just thought it was just a conspiracy theory that was kind of went nowhere. And there we go. Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred a standalone episode. Most of the stuff that they did as standalone was a lot better, in my opinion. Would you agree with that? Anyone?
Definitely. I preferred the kind of wider. It has more scope, all the kind of different fortune columns that could go into and deliver something different other than just bloody greys and men in black.
Yeah, well, that bloody hell.
You know, I have to say, if you were to ask people that say the favourite 5 episodes from the X-Files, I don't think you'd see a single arc episode in there.
No, I'd be very surprised if you did.
Yeah,
but
there's standalone stuff. There was some real creative stuff going on in there, and some real funny stuff as well.
But I think, I mean, we've got to get onto the MP3 feedback in a sec. But the one thing I and if anyone disagrees, by all means jump in. But the one thing I always liked about the first early seasons of X-Files was that it was all stuff more grounded in reality. Okay, Toombs was a bit fucked up, but there was always the whole element of reality, and there was an uncertainty as to quite whether or not there was actually any truth to what Mulder was finding. And it would have been quite nice if they'd done an episode where Mulder was actually fucking wrong. You know, that was the only thing that ever got me with the X-Files. And it was illustrated perfectly in this film that, you know, one minute he just decides, I'm going to stand on this building for the bomb because, hey, it's got to be here. And it's like, why? Why are you suddenly so super fucking right all the time? And it's like, if you were that right all the time, then presumably you'd be the director of the FBI by now. And I don't know. To me, that was the only thing I really enjoyed about the first couple of seasons, was there was this kind of grounded conspiracy theory as opposed to, you know, and even the standalone episodes were sort of based on things like, you know, what happens if a computer that runs a building suddenly goes mad?
Well, Jane Goldman did the whole set of books about where most of those episodes came from.
Yeah, but they all usually referred to the sort of early seasons. They never referred to the latest stuff.
Yeah, I think was it two or three books?
2. I've got them both upstairs.
There you go. And it's like picking, it's like, you saw this episode, well, this is where that idea came from.
So like with ice, it's all about parasites that are found in undersea lakes and all that kind of stuff. And And that's the thing I enjoyed the most about X-Files. But this stuff, the black oil and explicitly saying, oh yeah, there's aliens. Look, there's a bounty hunter that looks like a B-movie actor you see in every fucking Stallone movie, but he's got plasticine on his face. You know, as soon as you get explicit with all that, you'll just lose his mystique for me. But anyway, right. Well, moving on. Does anyone else disagree with that, or has anyone else got a different opinion on the X-Files apart from that? Or
No, I'll go along with that. And I would say the alien bounty hunters, with their facelessness, were ripped off alien bounty hunters that you can see in Critters.
Well done. 10 points and kudos to Mr. Moon there. Are you still awake, Elton? Are you falling off?
I am. I'm getting to the point where I can't even remember anything about the X-Files.
That's our power. You'll wake up in the morning and wonder what the hell you were doing tonight.
Everyone talking about aliens and goo and stuff like that. I'm getting creeped out in this room that I'm in. Keep checking over my shoulders.
Don't worry. If we
Check your clothes for bees.
Yeah.
yeah, because they can travel a fucking long way. Well, okay, let's move on to our first piece of MP3 feedback, and it's from the enigmatic and curiously squeaky-voiced Captain Obvious. So let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, ladies. It's Captain Obvious here, back for more backfeed on the old Apple Pod for this week's movie, X-Files. Yes, I remember battling those little buggers back in the day, the little grey ones with their overlord friends, and we took them back and we won the day, but nobody gives you any credit these days, nobody knows about it, so to the movie. Well, the obvious thing about this movie is it's full of poop ship raping aliens! Yes, so one better watch one's bum. So the best thing to do is to have a nice bottle of Cinzano, some pink wafers, let the good guys tackle the bastards, and wait for all those to blow over. So, till next time, ladies. Toodaloo, pip pip, keep your bums down. It's Captain Obvious.
Well, pink wafers and Cinzano. It's the way to take care of any alien invasion, I think.
Again, a party right there.
Definitely.
Cinzano, pink wafers.
You put the pink wafers in the Cinzano like a cocktail accoutrement, I wonder.
Oof. How out of the way could you have it, Jim? I mean, I thought you were a man of culture. Surely you would have known.
I thought that was obvious.
I think that's a Shonky experiment waiting to happen.
I think you're right.
Can you drink Cinzano through a pink wafer as a biscuity straw?
I shall get onto it.
Yes. Yes. It must happen. It must happen right now. It's our challenge to you as part of this triumvirate, this consortium of X-Files podcasts. We demand Cinzano pink wafers experiments.
Challenge accepted.
See, everyone's heard it now. There's a full 20 people who know that you've accepted that challenge. Right. Okay. Yeah, of which 4 of them are listening to making this podcast right now. Right, okay, so next piece of feedback is from the Reverend Peter Organ of the Org cast, or rather the Org cast, which you can find on geekplanetonline.com and on iTunes, and they're reviewing season 5 of Star Trek Next Generation right now. Ooh. I tried to watch one. They had a drinking challenge.
Yeah.
You might not appreciate this one, Elton, but there's an episode called Darmok. Where basically the aliens talk in metaphor. So they talk about having a battle. They say Darmok and Gillard at Tanagra.
Yeah.
And apparently there's
Bob and John at Tesco's.
Exactly. And apparently there's a drinking game where every time the alien said Darmok, you take a dark beer, you have a swig of a dark beer, and Gillard, you have a light beer. At Tanagra, you have a soft drink. And you take a drink every time. I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually watch this and do the drinking game. Do you know, I got 20 minutes into the episode and I was flat out drunk. Completely off my tits. I had everything set up. I couldn't even bloody record a thing. I just went straight to bed like, So even if you're not into Star Trek, give that a go. Darmok and Gillard at Tanagra. I nearly threw Tanagra up all over the place, but there you go. Little diversion there. Anyway, so let's hear what Peter and maybe his wife Anne-Marie, but we don't know because I haven't listened to the feedback. Oh yeah, it says here feedback from us both attached. Okay, well there you go. So Pete and Anne-Marie, and let's hear what they say about the X-Files movie.
Hello.
Hello.
It all starts a bit Prometheus, doesn't it?
Does a bit.
Wiggly black wormy things. Ew.
Ew.
And then you get into the bomb stuff, which is okay. Not particularly original.
But it's alright.
But it's alright, and blowing up the building was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all starts to fall apart when we go to the county of Somerset. Yeah, that's a really specific location then. And Baron Munchausen apparently is involved in this somehow.
And it's the same house they used in an episode of Chuck as well.
Yeah. On the upside, there's a sort of nice run of humour through it. Duchovny's character is quite amusing. But the problem is that it's all just a giant cock tease, isn't it, really? Which was kind of my problem with the series as well. I mean, we hired the first season, didn't we? Worked our way through the first season. I think that's as far as we got.
So I remember watching seasons 1 and 2 when they originally aired.
Right. I can remember hiring the first season on video and getting about 2/3 of the way through and thinking, yes, we're still not going to get any resolution on this, are we? And as it proved, however many 6 or 7 series later...
I think they did 10 or more.
Did they? Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, I can't cope with that, I'm afraid. You've got to have... And it particularly doesn't work for a movie. A movie's got to have a resolution at the end that isn't just that the two main characters survive. That's all you can say about the movie in terms of a resolution. The two main characters survive. The rest of it is all wibbly-wobbly, but you don't get anywhere with it, really, do you?
Well, no, I mean, it's kind of reset the status quo. But then
exactly. I mean, it's a giant spaceship, but Scully is unconscious, so she doesn't see the ship. It's like, oh, for heaven's sake, after all that she's been through, and she still has an excuse for being a skeptic, basically.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, in the series, they'd shut the X-Files down, which is why they then have the movie to make them reopen.
Wow. Pointless then, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is a bit, really. I mean, it is basically a 2-part TV episode, isn't it, really? There's nothing about it that makes you want to go to the cinema to see it.
No. Although, ironically, we did.
Yeah, we did.
And the only bit we remembered of it was the bees bit.
Yeah, we remembered the bees.
The bees!
But no, it's really nothing to write home about.
No, nothing special.
No.
It's okay, and as I say, the humour in it just about keeps you going, but ultimately, meh.
Yeah.
So yeah, meh. X-Files, pile of meh.
Yeah.
Cheerio, bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Hey. Well, there you go. A big pile of meh. As feedbacks go, that's not bad. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, I think. But seems like Matt Jones and you, Elton, are the only two people who really like it at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I can understand why everyone thinks it's a big pile of meh. I have no argument about it, though.
I mean, to be quite honest, it is. I think it's just meh because it does too little of all things to all people. It's not advancing an arc, and it's not really selling the story to non-believers particularly well.
But what do you expect from a TV show turned movie?
Well, you can expect a standalone episode that basically either introduces you to the characters. I mean, you know, as much as I know you're not a fan, but you look at something like a Star Trek movie, and yeah, there's piles of backstory and back history to those kind of things, but how many of them do you actually need to have watched to actually get anything out of just here's a heroic captain, here's his two buddies, here's a big spaceship, and they go places and have punch up?
Yeah, well, Star Trek's more about the characters itself, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Mulder and Scully themselves, I mean, in this film, they come away really well. They're actually, I think their relationship is and the humour and the sort of spikiness between them is the only bits that actually keep it going. And I think that the whole, you know, you could have had a standalone conspiracy. Why was the building blown up? Why was this going on? But I think that was just the only thing. Once you start layering on bees and oil and consortium and, invasions and then aliens in under the ground and secret bases popping up around like kids' playpens and stuff like that. It all gets a bit overloaded for the casual viewer.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's just me. Canoe made of marzipan. Right. So, on to our last MP3 of the night, which is normally Jim, but, what can you say? He's not sent anything in this week. Lazy bastard.
Shocking.
What a loser.
Fucking hell, just when we needed him most. And it is from Jack P. Starrow, who, rather than letting us read and destroy one of his well-written texts, he's decided to send us a memo instead. So let's hear what Jack has to say about the X-Files.
G'day Lee, g'day Darren. It's Jack here. And time for feedback on X-Files, the movie. Was never a huge X-Files fan, although I did quite like the show at one point. Like a lot of people, I think I got onto it slightly late, and then dropped out of it pretty early in terms of how long it ran. In fact, I remember when I heard that the last episode ever was going to be on, my reaction was, oh shit, that show's still going. And I actually watched it and found it completely incomprehensible. Which sort of brings us to this film. I think I'd been watching the show semi-consistently by the time this film came out, and I saw it in theatres, and I think I was relatively plugged into, the ongoing story arc and the Black Ooze and all that shit, but I wasn't terribly impressed with it at the time, and I don't think I've ever seen it since. So looking at it again now, I actually initially was kind of surprised that I was quite enjoying it. About the first maybe half or even maybe 2/3 of the film, I actually quite liked it. It didn't seem hugely different to watching the show from what I remember, but maybe it was just, trading on the nostalgia for the show when it was good. I thought all the stuff with, the bomb, and always loved seeing Terry O'Quinn, and then all the, hearings. I always thought the, conspiracy, not so much the conspiracy, but the, when it got filtered down to the level of Mulder and Scully's superiors in the FBI, apart from Skinner, that they were always having the thumb screws put to them, and so I liked all that sort of stuff. It was really only when pretty much when Scully got taken out of the film, and then Mulder had to, go to the Arctic and all that stuff, that I really just started falling asleep. So, yeah, the movie definitely petered out. Didn't care for the ending. But yeah, I actually, on balance, maybe enjoyed it more this time than I did the first time, but only up to a certain point. Anyway, that's it from me. No big dramatic analysis. Also, looking ahead at the schedule, guys, you probably won't be hearing from me for a while, because we're coming into our several weeks of horror, and horror's, really not my thing. More power to you for those that like it, though. And I'll see you on the other side. Okay, guys. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Anyway, thank you very much for that, Jack. Don't worry, Don't worry, mate. We will be, the 5 or 4 or indeterminate weeks of horror will happen in October. We've still got at least one movie to go. At least one, as far as I'm aware. So,
And Carry On Screaming is acceptable viewing for any film fan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I don't think Horror Express is is particularly high on the sort of comparison to Wolf Creek, but then that's
it's more of an action horror. That
yeah,
one.
Exactly. But we'll, don't worry, that's cool if you don't want to get involved in the horror thing. And I know there's a few of you who don't want to do the horror thing. That's fine. We'll see you on the other side, but do tune in, obviously.
I was going to say
we could do with the hits.
If we were watching something like Insidious, then I'd say, all right, fine. I can see why you wouldn't want to be around.
Back it up a bit, yeah. No, we'll be watching Wreck and Wreck 2. No, join us. It's well, thank you very much for that. You seem to enjoy it more than until the end. The one thing he brought up, which I was kind of like suddenly sparked my memory, is Skinner. And Skinner! Quickly, Nibbles, chew through my ballsack. What I was going to say was, Skinner seems to be completely clued up on the whole conspiracy. Completely clued up on what they're trying to do to Mulder and Scully, and is on the hearing board, and yet does nothing to help them at all. What's that all about?
Getting a conservatory.
I mean, I know the royalty checks from Knight Rider 2000 are still coming in, but you would have thought he'd step in and help a little bit.
Well, yeah, you would, but no, obviously not. I've got a question, by the way. Does anybody ever remember an episode of the X-Files where Skinner genuinely smiled? He scowls an awful lot.
Yeah, I think he just. Yeah, I think he just realised that after this he was going to be doing 25 seasons of Behind the Magician's Curtain. It was just like he was just clinging on to every last second.
Then if it wasn't that bad, then along came Knight Rider 2000.
Yeah, exactly. Which and then he fell to his death in Westfield Shopping Centre. In that, if I recall correctly.
Did he?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, of course he did.
He fell off a balcony and. That was it.
It was the talk of the Glades for ages.
Yeah, well, the Glades in Bromley. He died as he lived, shopping for shoes.
Do you know, I have to make a small confession here. Every time I see Skinner, I keep thinking of one of my bosses in work. It's just, it doesn't look the spitting image of him, but there's enough there to be going on.
Is your boss coming to the shindig?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. Invite him along so we can all point.
Skinner.
Right, okay, well, I think that about wraps it up, except for one last piece of feedback. This piece of feedback is a written piece of feedback, and it comes from one Mr. P. Kelk of Yeldham, and he has this to say. Evening, Lee, Darren, Jim, and Elton, with an exclamation mark. Firstly, a massive apologies for not being there to record with you, but please rest assured I'm almost certainly having an extraordinarily miserable time in Berlin. Yeah, fine. All expenses paid. So, X-Files, where to begin? Well, firstly, if I had to use one word to sum this whole movie up, it would be boring, which is, in my personal book, quite possibly the worst accusation you could level at a film. When I originally saw this, I think, pretty much like most X-Files fans at the time, we were really hoping that it would open up the storyline, give us something new and exciting to help us reinvest in the series. Almost everyone I knew had started to become very disillusioned with the TV series. It just seemed like they were just keeping opening cans without ever telling us what was really inside. Perhaps Damon Lindelof was a fan. Perhaps maybe he was a writer as well.
Yes, could be.
Anyway, while that was great for a little while, after a time you can't help but think, oh, okay, another mystery to add to a bunch of unsolved mysteries. I think where they really went wrong with this movie is they just opening pretty much all of these tins again and introducing all of those shady characters again. Now, I fully understand that when you're involving yourself in a project like this, you have to make the story accessible for everyone who comes to see the film. However, they really have gone too far down the route of explaining it to a new audience, while never really giving any attention to the existing audience. We all know that this is a common complaint amongst fanboys the world over, whenever any property is given this sort of treatment. Looking at this film today, now that I don't really have my great emotional investment in it, I will still level the same accusation. The pacing is far too slow. It needs to be at least 40 minutes shorter, a bit like this podcast, and could easily be 90% of this movie just in the TV series, rehashed. We know most of it already. Wouldn't it have hurt them to come up with something like an original story? No, actually, scrub that. They came up with a new story for X-Files 2, and look where that landed us. Anyway, last thing I would like to point out, again, is that it never ceases to amaze me how many scientific doctors are quite happy to go prodding, poking, cutting things apart that they have a deep suspicion may not be entirely normal. Oh, and there's a man on my table who has skin turned completely translucent and is oozing light green slime. No worries, pass me some latex gloves. I'll just cut him open and see what's in. This always annoys me. Anyway, cheers, guys. Hope you have a bloody brilliant evening tonight. Pete. I should just add, to give it an extra frisson of authenticity, I should add. Fair comment. Anyway. Right, well, thank you very much for that, Pete. Anyone got anything to add to that? I mean, he's really not very on board, I don't think.
No, he doesn't like it one little bit, does he?
No. Which, considering he seemed quite enthusiastic when listening on the Shonky Lab, I think that's I think he's been a little bit two-faced there. I just throw that bomb in there. He's never going to be listening at 2 hours and 50 minutes in. He's going to have switched it off by now.
Yeah.
He would have given up at shitty superheroes, I think.
Yeah, probably. So,
I think with him, you either love the show or you love the movie. I don't think there's much of an in between, really, is there?
No. Well, you can go along with it, but it's just, yeah. I think for fans, it just seems like it's a bit of a washout. It's just a missed opportunity, and for non-fans, it's a bit of a what the fuck is this all about? Which is a bit of a shame. But there you go. Okay.
Hey ho.
Hey ho. So that's the end of X-Files week. Is it X-Files week? X-Files month? I don't know.
X-Files period.
Celebration of
season.
I say celebration, season. But all we seem to have done is slag this off.
Well, it's not quite over yet. I have another Hypnobobs, which is the second part of the X-Files origin that will round everything off.
Lovely.
Where I go really fully down the rabbit hole.
Oh dear. Okay. And when do you think that'll be out, Jim?
This weekend, all going well.
Cool, lovely. I look forward to listening to
that. Unless the Men in Black take me away because I've got too close to the actual truth.
Oh, secrets.
I'm checking my dressing gown for bees as we speak.
Far travelling bees, ones with attaché cases.
Frequent flyer miles.
Okie dokie. And what about you, Elton? Overall, you've done now with the X-Files, or are you just going to carry on watching it, or are you going to start a new podcast, or what?
At the moment, as it stands, Shonky Lab is done with the X-Files. We've done our 2 little episodes. I'm quite happy with what we achieved there. I love what all of us have all achieved all together, bringing it all back to everyone and putting it in people's minds again. Whether rethinking the X-Files will ever come out, I don't know. Not at this moment. I'm far too busy, but maybe the other side of Christmas, we don't know.
But if you'd like to... If you fans out there of the X-Files would like to start a letter writing campaign, send it in to shonkylab@gmail.com. And I think just to get it underway, because I don't think there's enough X-Files podcasts out there on iTunes. You right, Pete? Right, Elton? All good? Anyway, right. It's all gone quiet over there. I think he's glowering at me down the mic.
I would never do that.
Yes, you are. Right. So, on to the next week's film. Next week's film is basically just a little primer for those of you who've never experienced the wonderful world of Mr. Peter Capaldi, who is due to be the next Doctor. Now, obviously, a few of you do know who he is, and what we're going to do is we're going to visit revisit his most famous role in the only movie that they did, which is In the Loop. So next week we will be doing In the Loop, which will basically be a perfect excuse for every one of you to come up with a fantastic creative swear-a-thon. I think we might even hand out a lollipop as a prize for the most creative swear by the time we reach the end of the podcast. So, has anyone actually seen this film?
No.
Yes.
Sorry? No. What? Was that? So was that Jim hasn't seen it and Elton has? Did I get that right? Oh, right. I was going to say I was just about to have a. I'm just glad I was sitting down for that one. So what do you think of it, Jim? What was your memories of it?
I really enjoyed it. There's 'cause it is kind of a spin-off from the thick of it, but it does actually stand alone from it quite well.
Yes.
I don't know. So it might be kind of the high point of that oeuvre, as I thought the last season of the thick of it was a bit lacking. I think partly because our current government is just so beyond satire. They floundered a bit to come up with anything.
Yeah.
And VP is okay, but it's not, doesn't really have the bite. Whereas In the Loop is a quite magnificently dark, dark film.
Yes, absolutely,
and very funny.
Yes, so that's gonna be interesting. And so you haven't seen it then, Elton?
No, I haven't. No, so okay. I'm sure it's really good.
Thanks for that. Actually, it's a good counterpoint to the X-Files because obviously it is an adaptation of an existing TV show. So how to make it without having to reintroduce absolutely everything? How does it work? Well, we'll find out next week. Okay, and what about you, Darren? Have you seen this film?
Never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen it, but I have seen one or two clips going through, like, pick up all these greatest hits on YouTube.
I know how you don't like swearing, so I'll just say this. F*** cunt. Yeah, that's. I think that kind of. So there you go. That will give you a general idea. So you're looking forward to it?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yes, I remember seeing this film a long time ago. Well, when it just got released, and absolutely loving it. It is my kind of humour. That's probably all I've got to say about it at the moment, because as far as I can remember, it's just an absolutely brilliant satire.
It did get a lot of good reviews at the time as well.
And it might even be somewhat sort of relevant given the whole Syria thing that's going on right now. But
Don't say anymore.
No, I'm not saying anymore. Anyway, so we will be there for In the Loop next week. If anybody's got any feedback, do send it in to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com. Right. This is an epic podcast, and we are going to finish it and wrap it up now. So I'm just going to say thank you very much to everyone for taking part, and everyone listening. And would you gentlemen in the co-host chair, would you like to do a bit of pluggage before we move on? Elton, you can go first. There you go.
Yeah, I'll go first then.
You go first.
Fine. You can find me if you've been encouraged to find the Shonky Lab after listening to this. You can find me at shonkylab.co.uk. I nearly forgot that. Shonky Lab is a podcast where we discuss the topics of the day and throw in a movie or two every now and again. That is on shonkylab.co.uk and rogue2.com.
Lovely. And on iTunes.
And on iTunes.
Yes. Fantastic. Brilliant. And over to you, Jim.
And you can hear both me and Elton with his Lordship Justice Chris Johnson on Witless for the Defence podcast, which will be out in a few days, talking about the enduring classic Megaforce, which you can find at Witless for the Defence on Jellycast now, and of course on iTunes.
Lovely.
You can hear me sort of fortnightly, roughly, at the Hypnobobs podcast, which is on iTunes, Geek Planet Online, and my own site, hypnogoria.com.
Right, okay, well, that's brilliant. Okay, well, thank you again, guys. Been really good to have you on.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Thank you.
You can go to sleep now, Elton. You can escape, run away. That's cool. Oh, he's gone. And Jim, I believe it's okay to announce that you will be back for the 4, 5, possibly 6 weeks of horror.
Yes, indeedy.
Lovely. So we will catch you live then, and no doubt hear from you before. And Darren.
Yes.
Thank you for taking part. Thank you for being right. You.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, man.
No, that's cool.
Thanks for coming.
Now get the fuck out of my house. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Now is the time to say goodbye. Goodbye. Now is the time to yield a sigh. Yield it, yield it. Now is the time to wend our way until we meet again some sunny day. Goodbye, goodbye, we're leaving you, skeleton. Goodbye, we met in fun. Goodbye, 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 we're leaving you, skeleton. Goodbye, we met in fun. Goodbye,
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.